In the shadows of history lie secrets so deep, their truths may never be fully revealed. Some are whispers lost to time, while others are buried beneath layers of stone, sand, and blood. From ancient cities swallowed by the earth to enigmas that have defied understanding for centuries, the mysteries that haunt our past are as chilling as they are captivating. What ancient knowledge was hidden, and what dark forces shaped the destinies of those who walked this world before us. So sit back, relax, and let's embark on a journey to uncover 3 hours of the most haunting mysteries that history has yet to unravel. Bermeja Island was once thought to be a small, uninhabited speck on the map, situated off the coast of the Yucatan Peninsula in the Gulf of Mexico. For centuries, sailors and explorers alike marked its location with quiet certainty. Its existence was unquestioned. It was an island of mystery, shrouded in fog with no permanent residents, only the occasional passing ship that might glance at its shores before disappearing into the horizon. But sometime between the 19th and 20th centuries, Bermeja vanished. Its coordinates, once so reliably recorded, no longer aligned with any known landmass. It simply disappeared, leaving behind only faint traces in historical documents and outdated maps. The location where Bermeja should have been was empty, a blank space where land once existed. Was it swallowed by the sea, or did it ever exist at all? The first documented sighting of the island goes back to the 16th century, when Spanish explorers, mapping the region, noted the island's position off the coast of the Yucatan. Its existence was confirmed by multiple sources over the years, and for centuries, it was a fixture in geographical records. In the 1800s, Bermeja was identified in various official documents and maps, and by the early 1900s, the island had become an established point of reference for navigation in the Gulf. Yet by the 20th century, something strange began to occur. In 1997, a Mexican expedition was dispatched to investigate the coordinates where Bermeja should have been located, using modern technology and detailed maps. But when they arrived at the site, no trace of the island could be found. The water was clear, but the island had vanished. It was as if the land had never existed at all. At first, scientists and geographers speculated that Bermeja might have been a mirage or the result of a cartographical error. They suggested that its appearance in earlier maps could have been the result of miscalculations or unreliable sources. But the more they dug into the island's history, the more questions arose. How could so many reliable sources have been wrong for centuries? And why was Bermeja consistently marked on maps dating back to the earliest days of exploration? There were other, more unconventional theories. Some believe that Bermeja's disappearance was linked to shifting tectonic plates and underwater volcanic activity, possibly causing the island to sink beneath the waves, a phenomenon known as submergence. This explanation gained traction after the discovery of similar geological events in other parts of the world. But for many, it raised further questions. Was Bermeja part of a larger, unexplained seismic event? If so, what other factors might have been involved? A more speculative theory involves the idea that Bermeja was intentionally erased from maps. Some have suggested that the island was deliberately removed due to its significance in territorial disputes. During the late 20th century, a maritime boundary agreement was being negotiated between Mexico and the United States, with Bermeja positioned as a key reference point. If the island was indeed part of this negotiation, its disappearance could have been seen as convenient or even advantageous to one of the parties involved. Could Bermeja have been erased for political reasons, its true location concealed to shift the balance of maritime claims? Then there are those who entertain the idea that Bermeja never existed in the first place. According to this theory, the island was a mirage, a figment of early cartographers' imaginations, created by the chaotic currents and ever-shifting tides of the Gulf. Perhaps Bermeja was an optical illusion, the result of a strange atmospheric phenomenon. But if that were the case, why would it appear on maps with such consistency for centuries? And why did it take so long for its absence to be recognized? As the mystery continues to unfold, the question remains: what happened to Bermeja Island? Is it a lost landmass hidden beneath the waves, or a forgotten legend of the sea? Was it once real, only to be swallowed by time and nature, or was it a ghost, existing only in the minds of those who believed in it? In the end, Bermeja's disappearance is a riddle that may never be solved. But one thing remains clear: the story of its vanishing continues to captivate the imagination. What secrets might it still hold beneath its silent waters? And what does it mean for the world of maps, history, and the boundaries we've drawn between ourselves and the unknown? The answers may never come, but the mystery endures. Nestled within the rolling hills of Brazil, Vintém Hill stands as an otherwise quiet and unassuming part of the countryside. From a distance, it is just another swath of lush green landscape, the silence of its trees and rocks broken only by the occasional rustle of wind or the hum of distant birds. Yet, it was here, in 1966, that a discovery would emerge from the shadows of mystery, one that has baffled investigators and haunted the imaginations of many ever since. At the peak of this hill, a pair of bodies was found, each one wearing a lead mask, their faces covered in heavy, gleaming metal. They were not just any victims. They were two men whose deaths defied easy explanation. They had arrived at the hill the day before, carrying with them strange paraphernalia, items that seemed out of place in a quiet rural landscape. There were notebooks, written in cryptic notes, a bottle of mineral water, and the unmistakable lead masks themselves. What had brought them to this remote location? And why had they chosen to end their lives in such an enigmatic way? The bodies were found lying in the grass, side by side. One had a clear sign of having died of natural causes. The body showed signs of rigor mortis, and there was a slight, odd, reddish tint to the skin. But it was the masks, the heavy lead masks placed over their faces, that caused the most intrigue. These were no ordinary masks. Made from a thick, industrial-looking metal, they were designed with no eye holes and only a small, obscure opening at the nose. What was the purpose of these masks? Were they part of a ritual or perhaps some kind of strange scientific experiment gone wrong? The two men, João José da Silva and Manuel Pereira da Silva, were in their early 40s, and their lives were not particularly remarkable. João was a mechanic, and Manuel worked as a farmer. In the days leading up to their fateful trip to Vintém Hill, both men had spoken vaguely about pursuing something extraordinary. A fascination with the unknown had drawn them together. They were rumored to have been interested in spiritualism and, some suggest, even exploring the possibility of extraterrestrial contact. Their cryptic notes, discovered at the scene, hinted at some kind of mysterious experiment, but no one could figure out exactly what they meant. There was a theory that the men had been involved in some form of scientific investigation, possibly linked to UFOs. Brazil, during the 1960s, was a place where rumors of flying saucers and alien encounters were not uncommon. Some suggested that the masks were part of a protective measure against radiation or some form of extraterrestrial force. The men had reportedly been seen discussing the potential of contacting something out of this world, which led some to wonder whether they had been engaged in an attempt to reach some unknown intelligence, perhaps even from beyond the stars. Others speculated that the deaths were tied to a more earthly form of ritual. Brazil has a long and complex history with spiritualism, often blending ancient traditions with more modern practices. Could the lead masks have been part of a larger, occult-like ritual? Were these men attempting to contact the spirit world, or had they been caught in a cult-like practice that ultimately led to their deaths? As investigators delved into the case, they uncovered even more questions than answers. The area around Vintém Hill showed no signs of struggle, and the men had appeared to die peacefully, without the typical signs of violent or forced entry. Their deaths seemed, at least initially, to be the result of natural causes. However, autopsies revealed no clear cause of death, nor did the toxicology reports indicate any sign of poisoning or external injury. The mystery deepened. If the men had died of natural causes, why were they so meticulously prepared? And why had they covered their faces with such peculiar masks? The question of the mask's purpose remains at the heart of the mystery. Lead, as a material, is known for its ability to block certain forms of radiation, and some have suggested that the masks were a form of protection. Protection from what, however, remains unclear. Was this simply an eccentric experiment? Or did the two men believe they were involved in something much larger and far more dangerous than they had anticipated? One of the more bizarre theories posited that the lead masks were connected to a form of mind control or psychological manipulation. Could the men have been involved in some kind of clandestine government experiment, perhaps even related to psychological warfare or research on mental states? Were they, like others in the Cold War era, victims of a program designed to push the boundaries of human experience? No evidence has ever emerged to suggest this, but the mystery continues to fuel the imagination. Even more unsettling is the speculation that the men were victims of their own misguided beliefs. Had they been tricked into performing some sort of dangerous ritual without truly understanding the consequences? Could they have believed they were preparing for a transcendent experience, only to discover too late that the path they had chosen was a one-way road? Despite the various theories, the true cause of their deaths remains elusive. The authorities could not provide a definitive answer, and over time, the case began to fade from public view. The lead masks and the strange circumstances of the deaths of João and Manuel have since become a symbol of the unexplainable, an enduring reminder of the mysteries that can lie hidden in the world around us. What was the true purpose of those masks? Were the men preparing for something far beyond our understanding, or had they been swept up in something far darker and more dangerous? What lies buried in the unsolved case of the lead masks of Vintém Hill? As the years pass, the mystery lingers, challenging us to look deeper into the unknown, to search for the truth that perhaps may never come to light. In the dense jungles of Guatemala, far from the tourist trails and the well-trodden paths of the Maya world, lies a city that few have heard of, but whose architecture challenges everything we thought we knew about ancient civilizations. Nixtun-Ch'ich, a forgotten city hidden in the Petén Basin, presents an enigma that has baffled archaeologists for decades. What makes this site so unique, so captivating, is not just the ruins themselves, but the extraordinary precision with which the city was designed, a pattern so deliberate that it almost seems out of place for its time. Unlike many other Maya cities, where streets are haphazardly arranged in sprawling clusters, Nixtun-Ch'ich is laid out in a perfect grid. A seemingly rational and organized design in an ancient world where cities were often built with far more organic, asymmetrical layouts. Its streets intersect at right angles, forming a geometric order that, in the context of the Maya civilization, is profoundly unusual. It raises the question, why would the Maya, known for their intricate ceremonial layouts and sprawling temples, choose such a seemingly rational urban structure? What was the driving force behind this highly methodical city design? And why did it exist in isolation, far from the cultural hubs of its time? Discovered in the 1970s, Nixtun-Ch'ich is not a massive metropolis like Tikal or Calakmul, but it is substantial enough to suggest that it played a significant role in the region's ancient politics and trade. The city sits in an area once known for its fertile lands, rich in resources, and in the middle of a complex network of Maya settlements. But the most striking feature is its urban planning. The grid is clear and precise, with an alignment that seems too intentional to be merely the result of trial and error. Nixtun-Ch'ich was likely built around the 1st century BC, in the height of the classic Maya period, and its design suggests that its builders understood something about geography and the cosmos that we still struggle to comprehend. Its streets, temples, and plazas are arranged in relation to cardinal directions and astronomical events. Yet this was not the case for most other Maya cities, which followed more organic, non-rectilinear patterns. It begs the question, was the city's grid a practical decision, a response to specific environmental or social conditions, or was there something more mysterious at play? Some archaeologists have pointed out that the grid layout could be a reflection of the growing complexity of Maya society. At the time, the Maya were making significant strides in their understanding of astronomy, mathematics, and geometry. The city may have been designed to reflect these advances, with the grid serving as a form of cosmic or symbolic order. But this raises further questions. Could the Maya have been striving for a perfect alignment with the cosmos, or was the grid something more practical, an attempt to create an efficient and manageable urban center in a rapidly growing population? The theory that the grid was a symbolic representation of cosmic principles is compelling, especially considering the Maya's deep connection to the heavens. Like many ancient civilizations, the Maya believed that their world was shaped by celestial forces, and their cities were often built in alignment with the stars and planets. The arrangement of streets and buildings at Nixtun-Ch'ich could have served as a means of mirroring the cosmic order, reflecting the Maya's belief in a structured universe governed by divine forces. But if this were the case, why did they choose to build a city in such a precise, linear fashion, especially when most of their other cities were designed with a more organic flow? Was this urban plan an attempt to capture divine harmony, or did it have a more practical purpose? Some have suggested that the city's grid layout was designed with a functional purpose in mind. It might have been created to facilitate trade, communication, and military movements. A grid would allow for more efficient movement through the city, making it easier for inhabitants to travel from one area to another. In this sense, Nixtun-Ch'ich could have been a strategically designed center for commerce or governance, a place where the physical space of the city was as carefully structured as the political and social systems that governed its people. Yet, despite the logical reasoning behind such theories, there are still unanswered questions about the grid's purpose. Why is it that only a handful of Maya cities, including Nixtun-Ch'ich, followed such a geometric design? What set this particular city apart from the others in its region? Was it an anomaly, or was it part of a larger, forgotten tradition that has yet to be understood? Adding to the intrigue is the fact that Nixtun-Ch'ich does not fit neatly into the typical narrative of Maya cities. Many cities of this time were built around religious or ceremonial centers, with grand pyramids and temples that stood as the focal points of the city. But Nixtun-Ch'ich lacks the monumental structures that are often associated with Maya urbanism. There is no towering pyramid, no sprawling ball courts, no grand palaces. Instead, what remains are quiet, smaller structures arranged in neat rows, with an emphasis on a layout that feels more like a modern city block than an ancient religious complex. Could this suggest that Nixtun-Ch'ich was built for a different kind of purpose? Was it a city that focused more on everyday life, trade, and governance, rather than the spiritual and ceremonial needs of the Maya? Perhaps, in its day, Nixtun-Ch'ich was an early example of urban planning for practical purposes, not just as a reflection of religious or celestial ideals. But as much as we know about the layout of the city, much of its history remains veiled in mystery. What was the true purpose behind Nixtun-Ch'ich's precise grid? Was it simply an innovative response to urbanization, or was it an expression of a deeper, more esoteric understanding of the universe? And why, after being founded in the 1st century BC, did the city fade into obscurity by the time the classic Maya period reached its peak? As the questions pile up, Nixtun-Ch'ich remains an anomaly, a city that refuses to be understood within the typical frameworks of Maya civilization. It challenges the very assumptions we have about ancient societies, forcing us to reconsider what we thought we knew about urban planning, spiritual practices, and the intersection of both. Was this city a product of an era of intellectual and cultural experimentation, or did it serve a purpose that remains hidden in the mists of time? Perhaps the most haunting aspect of Nixtun-Ch'ich is not just the mystery of its design, but the fact that so much of its story has been lost to history. What were the people who lived here like? What did they believe, and why did they choose to organize their city in such a radically different way? And why, in the end, did it vanish, leaving only the silent remnants of a forgotten world behind? The answers to these questions may never come, but the ghost of Nixtun-Ch'ich lingers in the jungle, waiting for someone to uncover its true story. Until then, the city's grid remains a silent testament to the mysteries that lie hidden beneath the surface of ancient history. Deep in the Ural Mountains of Russia, in the heart of a remote swamp, an astonishing discovery was made, a discovery that would raise as many questions as it answered. The year was 1890, and an archaeologist named Viktor Rudenko was part of an excavation team working in the area. They had come across a strange object buried in the peat bogs, something far older than anything they could have imagined. It was a wooden statue, carved with intricate patterns and strange figures, and though time had worn it down, its sheer presence was undeniable. The object, now known as the Shigir idol, was unlike anything ever seen before. Standing over 9 feet tall, it was carved from the wood of a giant larch tree and adorned with a series of complex geometric shapes and faces. It wasn't just a primitive figure. It was an artifact of immense cultural and spiritual significance, its exact meaning shrouded in mystery. Radiocarbon dating of the wooden idol revealed a staggering truth. It was over 11,000 years old, making it not just ancient, but one of the oldest wooden sculptures ever discovered by humankind. This was no ordinary relic of the past. The Shigir idol, with its carefully chiseled lines and elongated features, suggested a level of sophistication that seemed far beyond the capabilities of the people who created it. Who were these people? And what were they trying to communicate with this strange, towering figure? The idol's design is at once both beautiful and haunting. It features human-like faces, some of which seem to stare at you with an unsettling intensity. There are geometric patterns running along its surface, as if it were a kind of symbolic language, one that might hold secrets lost to time. The faces on the idol appear to shift in expression, adding to its eerie presence. Were they representations of ancestors, gods, or something entirely unknown? Was the idol created as part of a religious or spiritual practice? Or was it simply a work of art? What's particularly baffling about the Shigir idol is not just its age or artistry, but its function, or lack thereof. Despite being so remarkably well preserved, there are no definitive answers as to why it was created or what purpose it served. Some believe it was an object of worship, a totem meant to channel the power of the spirits or the gods. Others suggest that it might have been a marker of some kind, perhaps guiding people through the landscape or serving as a memorial for a great leader or warrior. Could it have been a symbol of power, a representation of a worldview that was so different from our own that we struggle to grasp its meaning? The idol was likely carved by the ancient peoples of the region known as the Uralic, or the ancestors of the Finno-Ugric people. These were hunter-gatherers who lived in the forests and swamps of the Russian wilderness, long before the rise of the great civilizations in Egypt or Mesopotamia. At this time, the Earth was still emerging from the last ice age, and the landscape was a harsh and unforgiving place. What then could have inspired these early humans to create such a complex and imposing figure? One that seemed so far removed from the utilitarian tools and artifacts typically associated with hunter-gatherer cultures? To understand the mystery of the Shigir idol, we must also consider its extraordinary material: wood. Wood decays rapidly, making it unlikely that any artifact of such ancient origin would survive for millennia. And yet, the Shigir idol was preserved by the unique conditions of the peat bog where it was buried. The cold, damp environment of the bog protected the statue, preventing it from rotting away. But even so, the idol's survival is nothing short of miraculous, and the fact that it was found so far from other known settlements only adds to its enigmatic nature. When researchers first analyzed the carvings, they found patterns that seemed almost alien. Some of the markings on the idol resemble abstract symbols or hieroglyphs, suggesting that its creators had a sophisticated system of communication, perhaps a proto-writing system. Could it be that the Shigir idol was not just a symbolic object, but an early attempt at writing? Or were these symbols simply artistic flourishes, added for aesthetic reasons? The idol's geometric patterns have also prompted speculation that the creators may have had advanced knowledge of astronomy or mathematics. The lines and shapes are too precise to be mere random decoration, and they seem to align in ways that suggest a deep understanding of the natural world. Was the idol part of an early form of celestial worship, or did it serve as an astronomical tool? Could the faces carved into the idol represent celestial bodies or figures associated with the stars? There are those who believe that the Shigir idol may have been intended as a kind of marker for a lost civilization, one that existed long before the known empires of the ancient world. Could it be that the creators of the idol were part of a forgotten culture, one whose knowledge and achievements were lost to time? Was the idol part of a larger network of symbolic monuments scattered across the landscape, each one telling a piece of the story of a civilization whose legacy has been erased by the passage of time? But even more perplexing is the idea that the idol might have had a much darker purpose. The faces on the statue seem to watch, almost as if they are keeping secrets that may never be uncovered. Some have suggested that the idol could have been used in some kind of ritualistic sacrifice, perhaps intended to appease the gods or spirits of the forest. Could this towering figure have been part of a cultic practice, one that involved ancient rites lost to history? Despite the extensive research and analysis conducted on the Shigir idol, no definitive answers have emerged. The purpose of the idol remains as mysterious as the people who carved it. Was it a symbol of power, a spiritual conduit, or a cultural artifact? Or was it something else entirely, an object that transcends our understanding of ancient rituals and beliefs? The idol stands as a silent sentinel from the past, its meaning obscured by time, yet its presence undeniable. It forces us to confront the limits of our knowledge and challenges our assumptions about what early human cultures were capable of. What did the creators of the Shigir idol understand that we do not? And what secrets might still lie hidden in the carvings of this ancient wooden monument? The mystery of the Shigir idol endures, a haunting reminder that there are still deep, unfathomable corners of history left to explore. Nestled off the coast of Nova Scotia, Canada, Oak Island has long been a site of intrigue, attracting treasure hunters, archaeologists, and amateur sleuths for centuries. The island's reputation stems from its infamous money pit, a mysterious shaft that has yielded little but confusion and disappointment despite decades of excavation. Yet, hidden among the labyrinth of tunnels, booby traps, and unsolved riddles lies another enigmatic discovery, one that has never fully been explained: the 90-foot stone inscription. The stone, discovered in 1804 by a group of early treasure hunters, was found buried at a depth of 90 feet and its markings are as cryptic as they are profound. The inscription is etched into the surface of a large flat stone, roughly the size of a dining table. The stone's surface is covered in symbols, strange geometric shapes and characters that appear to be part of an ancient script, their meaning completely undeciphered. What could these markings be? Are they the remnants of a forgotten language, or are they a coded message left behind by someone or something with knowledge far beyond what we understand? The discovery of the 90-foot stone came at a time when Oak Island was already steeped in mystery. The money pit had been excavated and refilled multiple times, and a growing legend surrounded the island. Stories of hidden pirate treasure, lost artifacts, and even the rumored vaults of the Templar Knights. But this stone inscription stood apart from all these theories. Unlike the shifting narratives of treasure hunters, this stone seemed to offer something more concrete, something that could potentially hold the key to unlocking the island's mysteries. As the stone was examined, its markings were studied with great care. Some believe the inscription represents a form of early cryptography, suggesting that it could be a puzzle or a map, perhaps indicating the location of a hidden treasure. The characters are not similar to any known language, leading many to speculate that they could represent an entirely lost or secretive writing system, one that has not been seen in other archaeological discoveries. This has led to theories that the stone might not be the work of the pirates or early settlers of the region, but rather an artifact left behind by a far older civilization, one that predates even the known history of the island. Others argue that the inscription is a deliberate hoax, a piece of misdirection designed to keep the mystery alive. The stone's discovery came in the early 19th century, when Oak Island was already a popular site for treasure hunters. Could it have been planted by those seeking to add to the island's allure, creating a puzzle that would continue to captivate future generations? While some suggest this possibility, the stone's age, its apparent antiquity, and the effort that would have gone into crafting such intricate markings make it seem unlikely that it was simply a trick. The interpretation of the symbols on the stone remains a matter of speculation. One theory is that they represent a form of early maritime code, a language used by sailors or navigators to record hidden locations or safe havens. The geometry of the symbols, with their precise lines and symmetrical patterns, suggests an intentional design, not a random set of marks. The possibility that these symbols could have been used to encode a message or a set of instructions raises the question: who would have left such a detailed message, and why? Some have connected the inscription to the theory that the Templar Knights, who were rumored to have hidden treasures and sacred relics throughout the world, may have left their mark on Oak Island. This idea has been fueled by the presence of other supposed Templar symbols found on the island, including cross shapes and references to the number 13, which holds significance in Templar lore. Could the 90-foot stone inscription be another piece of this grand puzzle? If so, what knowledge did these medieval knights possess that would lead them to bury such secrets on a remote island off the coast of Canada? Another intriguing possibility is that the stone inscription is linked to the ancient civilization of the Phoenicians. The Phoenicians were known for their seafaring skills, their ability to navigate the open waters, and their extensive trade routes. Some theorists argue that the Phoenicians could have crossed the Atlantic long before Christopher Columbus and left their own markers on the island. Could this inscription be evidence of their presence on Oak Island? If so, what might it reveal about their travels, their connections to the ancient world, or their knowledge of hidden places and treasure? Despite these theories, the inscription on the 90-foot stone has not been conclusively deciphered. Scholars have examined the symbols, but no definitive translation has been found. Is this because the language is too obscure, or is it that the true meaning of the inscription is deliberately hidden, waiting for the right key to unlock its secrets? The stone itself offers no answers. Its surface is worn and weathered, with the symbols faint and difficult to study in detail. Only a few photographs remain from the time of its discovery, and even those are unclear. Was it a deliberate attempt to mark the location of something valuable? Or was it a warning, a message left behind to deter those who might attempt to uncover what lies buried on Oak Island? As the years go by, the mystery of the 90-foot stone inscription remains unsolved. Theories abound, but no single explanation has captured the public's imagination quite like the tantalizing prospect that this stone could be the key to unlocking Oak Island's greatest secret. Was the inscription created by a group of ancient navigators, a long-lost civilization, or perhaps even an organization with knowledge and skills far beyond what we understand today? The stone's markings are more than just carvings in stone. They are an invitation, a challenge to those who seek answers. And yet, despite centuries of investigation, the message remains obscured, its meaning elusive. What did the creators of the inscription know, and why did they leave their mark on this small, mysterious island? The questions linger, drawing us back to Oak Island, urging us to search for the secrets that lie buried in its depths. As with so many other mysteries of Oak Island, the 90-foot stone inscription beckons us to look deeper, into the past, into the unknown. What could still be hidden beneath the earth, waiting to be uncovered? In the vast, unforgiving expanse of the Arabian Peninsula, amidst the scorching sands of the Rub al-Khali, the empty quarter, lies a mystery that has captivated explorers and historians for centuries. Ubar, the legendary Atlantis of the sands, was said to be a flourishing oasis city, rich in trade, wealth, and culture, nestled at the crossroads of ancient caravan routes. But like so many lost civilizations, Ubar has disappeared into the desert, swallowed whole by time and the shifting sands. Was it real, or is it merely a myth? And if it was real, what could have caused its sudden and complete vanishing? The first written records of Ubar appear in the Quran, where it is described as a prosperous city that perished for its inhabitants' sinfulness and arrogance. The city was said to be one of great splendor, a center of commerce and culture, boasting ornate buildings, lavish palaces, and opulent wealth. Its people were said to have built magnificent structures using stone and coral, creating a marvel of architectural achievement. But this grandeur was not to last. The city's destruction, according to legend, was sudden, with the earth opening up beneath it, swallowing the city and its people into the desert sands. Was this the result of divine wrath, or was it something far more earthly and natural? And if the city was destroyed, where did it go? Is it still out there, waiting to be uncovered, or has it been erased from history entirely? For centuries, Ubar existed only as a myth mentioned in ancient texts, but with no solid evidence to confirm its existence. The legend persisted, passed down through generations of Bedouins and travelers, each telling of a place so rich in wealth and knowledge it seemed almost too extraordinary to be true. The city was said to be located somewhere deep within the empty quarter, an inhospitable and vast desert that has historically defied exploration. The legend of Ubar captivated the imaginations of those who ventured into this desolate land, and many tried and failed to find it. It wasn't until the late 19th century that Ubar began to be taken more seriously as a possible real location. The explorer Wilfred Thesiger in the 1940s noted the passing references to a place called Ubar among the Bedouins he encountered during his travels. But it was the 1990s that brought a new surge of excitement to the search, when satellite imagery and new archaeological techniques began to reveal the remains of ancient structures in the southern Arabian Peninsula. Could these ruins be the long-lost city of Ubar? Was it possible that the legend had a basis in reality after all? In 1992, a team led by archaeologist Dr. Nicholas Clapp identified a site known as the Iram of the Pillars, a set of ruins near the ancient frankincense trade routes, deep within Oman. The structures, made of stone, matched descriptions of Ubar found in ancient texts. The presence of extensive stone ruins and underground chambers suggested a civilization that had once been much larger than previously thought. Clapp and his team believed that they had found the site of Ubar, confirming its existence as a real, thriving city that had been a key player in the ancient world's trade networks. But even as they uncovered more ruins, a new question arose. What caused the city's sudden disappearance? The most widely accepted theory is that Ubar's destruction was caused by a natural disaster, likely an earthquake or a sudden shift in the Earth's surface. This would explain the story of the ground opening up and swallowing the city whole, as described in the Quran. The desert itself, with its vast and shifting sands, could have played a role in obscuring the city's remains, leaving behind only fragments of its past. Some speculate that Ubar was built on unstable ground, which may have been subject to seismic activity, or that the city's infrastructure, such as its aqueducts or storage systems, could have been overwhelmed by a sudden environmental change, leading to its collapse. But even this explanation leaves much to be desired. The desert, though a harsh and unforgiving environment, is not entirely devoid of clues. Some researchers have suggested that Ubar may have been the victim of a slow and gradual environmental disaster, one that could have caused its inhabitants to abandon the city long before it was swallowed by the sands. Could the city's reliance on trade and the desert's precious water resources have led to a slow collapse, with the climate or the surrounding landscape shifting to the point where the city could no longer sustain itself? If so, why did its people not take more drastic measures to relocate or adapt? The idea of environmental collapse has been supported by some archaeological findings that indicate evidence of ancient droughts in the region. It is possible that Ubar was a victim of its environment, with changing weather patterns and the depletion of vital resources making it impossible for the city to survive. But if that were the case, why did the legend of the city's sudden destruction persist? Was it simply the result of oral traditions that built upon the mystery of the city's disappearance, adding layers of myth to a story that may have had a far more mundane cause? Then there are those who point to more speculative theories, ones that venture into the realm of the extraordinary. Some have suggested that Ubar's destruction was not simply a matter of natural disaster, but rather the result of a lost technology, a civilization far more advanced than what we know. Could the city have been destroyed by some form of weapon, a force so powerful that it obliterated everything in its path? This theory has gained popularity in some circles, particularly among those who believe that ancient civilizations possessed knowledge and technology far beyond what we have uncovered. Another intriguing theory links Ubar to the legend of the Atlantis-like city of Thule, suggesting that the two may be connected in some way. Some ancient texts mention Thule as a city of advanced knowledge and power, much like Ubar, leading some researchers to speculate that both cities could have shared a similar fate. Could they have been part of an ancient global network of advanced civilizations, each one contributing to the world in ways we have yet to understand? If so, what caused their sudden disappearance, and why have we not been able to uncover their secrets? Despite all these theories, one question remains unanswered. What really happened to Ubar? Was it destroyed by an earthquake, abandoned due to environmental collapse, or lost in some other, more mysterious way? The true story of the vanishing colony may never be known, but the search continues. The desert sands of Arabia still hold the secrets of Ubar, and the legend of this vanished city continues to haunt those who dare to seek its hidden past. Perhaps, as time goes on, the mystery will deepen. Could Ubar still be waiting to be discovered, its ancient ruins buried beneath layers of sand? Or is it truly lost forever? The answers may lie just beyond our reach in the shifting dunes of the Rub al-Khali, where the past still whispers its forgotten tales. Tucked away in the rolling hills of West Dunbartonshire, Scotland, lies a remarkable archaeological site, one that has baffled historians and archaeologists for generations. The Cochno stone, a massive rock carved with a series of mysterious symbols, is one of the most significant megalithic sites in the British Isles. Yet, despite being studied for over a century, the purpose and meaning of the symbols remain shrouded in mystery. The stone itself is enormous, roughly 12 feet by 9 feet in size, and it sits hidden in a quiet field, almost camouflaged by the overgrowth of the surrounding landscape. Its surface is covered with a series of intricate carvings, some of which are deeply etched into the stone, while others appear to be more shallow or worn by time. These markings, which have been described as geometric shapes and patterns, are unlike anything found in other parts of Britain or Europe. They stand as a silent testament to a people whose understanding of symbolism and geometry might have been far more advanced than we give them credit for. The Cochno stone was first discovered in 1887, and it was later revealed that the carvings were part of a larger, wider pattern found at other sites in the region. The stone, however, is by far the most significant and best preserved example of this enigmatic tradition. Many of the markings on the stone are circular in form, some resembling spirals, others concentric circles or what appear to be a series of interlocking loops. Other symbols seem to evoke motifs found in ancient religious or astrological traditions, suggesting that the carvings may have been connected to cosmology or spiritual practices. What makes the Cochno stone even more remarkable is its age. Radiocarbon dating places the stone's carvings at around 5,000 years old, making them contemporary with some of the earliest known structures of Neolithic Europe. This means the Cochno stone was carved during a time when human societies were beginning to move away from a nomadic existence and settle into more permanent agricultural communities. Yet, despite its age and the breadth of study it has undergone, no one can say for certain what these symbols represent, or who carved them. Many theories have been proposed over the years, each attempting to unravel the mystery of the stone's purpose. One of the most widely accepted explanations is that the Cochno stone served as a kind of ancient calendar or astronomical marker. The concentric circles, spirals, and other geometric symbols may have been used to track the movement of the sun, moon, or stars. Ancient cultures around the world, from the Egyptians to the Maya, used megalithic structures to align with celestial events, such as solstices and equinoxes. Could the Cochno stone have been a similar type of astronomical device, designed to help early farmers and settlers understand the rhythms of the natural world? The possibility that the Cochno stone served as a cosmic calendar is supported by the fact that it is situated in a landscape that has numerous other stone monuments, many of which are thought to have been used for similar purposes. Nearby, the famous Callanish stones on the Isle of Lewis and the stone circles at Avebury and Stonehenge demonstrate the widespread use of megalithic structures as tools for celestial observation. These connections have led some researchers to believe that the Cochno stone, with its geometric carvings, was part of a wider system of astronomical knowledge that was shared by early European societies. However, there are other interpretations that suggest the Cochno stone may have had more esoteric, spiritual, or even ritualistic meanings. Some believe the carvings represent a form of early writing or symbolic communication, predating the known writing systems of the ancient world. The intricate patterns could have been a way for early humans to convey messages or mark significant events, such as religious ceremonies, migrations, or battles. Could the symbols be a form of proto-writing, used by a people whose language and culture have long since been lost to time? There are even theories that the Cochno stone could be linked to ancient ritual practices. The spirals and circles, commonly associated with fertility and the cycles of life, have been interpreted as symbols of the divine or the natural world. In many ancient cultures, spirals were believed to represent the flow of energy, the cyclical nature of existence, and the connection between the spiritual and physical realms. Could the Cochno stone have been a sacred site, where rituals were performed to honor the gods or mark important life events, such as the harvest or the changing of the seasons? Another theory, proposed by some fringe researchers, suggests that the Cochno stone may have been created by an unknown, advanced civilization, one that existed long before the known histories of the Celts, Romans, or Greeks. The intricacy and sophistication of the carvings, combined with their alignment to the cosmos, have led some to speculate that the symbols could represent a lost tradition of knowledge passed down by an ancient people who understood the mysteries of the universe in ways we can only imagine. Could these markings have been the work of an ancient culture with astronomical or spiritual knowledge far ahead of their time? Despite these many theories, the true meaning of the Cochno stone remains elusive. The carving's purpose, the identity of its creators, and the full scope of its symbolism are still matters of intense debate. What was the stone meant to communicate? Was it a scientific tool, a religious object, or perhaps something else entirely? Could it be a time capsule, intended to preserve the knowledge and beliefs of a long-lost civilization for future generations? Or was it, as some have suggested, a form of communication between a small community, expressing ideas too complex for us to fully understand? In the 1960s, the stone was covered up by local authorities in an effort to protect it from the increasing threat of vandalism and environmental erosion. Since then, it has remained hidden from public view, its symbols waiting to be fully understood. The mystery of the Cochno stone endures, drawing attention from archaeologists, historians, and curious onlookers alike, each seeking to unlock the secrets that lie within its carvings. What could these ancient symbols still teach us about the early cultures that inhabited this part of the world? How much of their knowledge has been lost to time, and how much remains buried beneath the earth, waiting to be rediscovered? The Cochno stone stands as a testament to the complexity of human thought and creativity, a puzzle whose pieces have yet to be fully assembled. Its meaning may never be known, but it serves as a reminder that there are still mysteries in history, quiet, cryptic, and profound, that remain waiting to be unraveled. In the heart of Thiruvananthapuram, Kerala, India, stands one of the most revered and enigmatic temples in the world, the Padmanabhaswamy Temple. A grand structure, adorned with intricate carvings and rich with spiritual history, it is dedicated to Lord Vishnu, one of the principal deities of Hinduism. With its towering spires and ancient architecture, the temple has stood for centuries, a place of pilgrimage and devotion. Yet beneath its hallowed halls lies a secret that has captured the imagination of historians, archaeologists, and treasure hunters alike. A hidden chamber, one that remains shrouded in mystery and intrigue. The Padmanabhaswamy Temple is known for its breathtaking architecture, a blend of Dravidian and Kerala styles, with the deity of Lord Vishnu reclining majestically on the serpent Ananta. The temple's outer walls are adorned with ornate sculptures and murals, depicting scenes from Hindu mythology. But beyond its cultural and religious significance, the temple has garnered global attention for its connection to a vast and mysterious underground vault, Vault B. In 2011, an event occurred that would thrust the Padmanabhaswamy Temple into the international spotlight. A team of experts commissioned by the Supreme Court of India was tasked with investigating the long-guarded vaults beneath the temple, which had never been fully opened or explored. The vaults had been sealed for centuries, and the very act of opening them was a rare and carefully considered decision. When Vault B was unlocked, it revealed a wealth of treasures that defied expectations: golden idols, precious gemstones, ancient coins, and elaborate artifacts that seemed to echo the opulence of a forgotten age. The discovery in Vault B was not just about the treasure, though. The mystery deepened when it became clear that the vault was unlike the others beneath the temple. Vault A, the largest and most accessible of the chambers, contained valuable relics, but none of them were as extraordinary as what lay beneath Vault B. Experts, including archaeologists and treasure hunters, were left dumbfounded. Some suggested that the vault contained items of immense historical and cultural significance, perhaps objects once belonging to kings and rulers, relics of ancient dynasties that had ruled the region centuries ago. Others speculated that the items were part of a religious offering, hidden away to protect them from invaders and outsiders. However, it was Vault B's contents that raised even more unsettling questions. The treasure, while undeniably valuable, was not the main point of fascination. Instead, it was the manner in which it had been sealed, along with the ominous secrecy surrounding it, that began to draw attention. Vault B had been sealed with a massive stone door, covered by multiple layers of heavy metal, which had never been opened until that fateful moment in 2011. But why had the vault remained untouched for so long? What was so sacred or dangerous that the vault had been hidden from public view for centuries, possibly even millennia? As experts examined the contents of Vault B, another layer of mystery emerged. The vault contained items that seemed oddly out of place, with some of the objects appearing to be much older than the time periods associated with the temple's construction. Intricate carvings and symbols were found on several of the artifacts, some of which appeared to be of foreign origin. Were these treasures the remnants of long-lost civilizations, or were they relics of an ancient tradition far older than the temple itself? Did they hold knowledge that had been deliberately buried, a kind of protection from powers that could misuse them? There were also rumors of a deeper, more hidden chamber beneath Vault B, a secret vault, one that was never meant to be opened. Some believe that this hidden chamber holds the true treasure of the Padmanabhaswamy temple, a treasure so powerful and significant that it could alter the course of history. According to these theories, Vault B was merely a decoy, a means of concealing the true secrets that lay beneath it. What could lie in the depths of this secret chamber? Sacred manuscripts? Ancient scrolls of forgotten knowledge? Or could it be something far more supernatural, a relic imbued with power that no mortal should possess? The mystery surrounding Vault B has led to a host of theories, ranging from the plausible to the far-fetched. Some believe the vault's treasures could have been hidden by the rulers of the Travancore kingdom, whose dynasty controlled the region for centuries, as a safeguard against invaders and foreign colonization. Others point to the possibility that the vault's contents could hold clues to an ancient system of knowledge, perhaps linked to astronomy, mathematics, or lost spiritual practices. Was the temple and its vaults built not just as a place of worship, but as a repository for knowledge, a sacred trust to preserve ancient wisdom for future generations? Still, others suggest a more speculative theory, that Vault B and its treasures were linked to a series of lost or hidden dynasties, secretive societies, or even extraterrestrial influences. Could the carvings and symbols found in the vault hint at a connection to cultures or civilizations from outside the Indian subcontinent? Were these objects a gift or a warning from forces beyond the Earth? Despite these many theories, there are still few concrete answers. In 2014, after the initial discovery, the Supreme Court of India imposed a ban on further investigations into the vaults, citing concerns over the preservation of religious sanctity and the security of the treasures. Since then, the mystery of Vault B has only deepened. The treasure is locked away, its true significance still unclear, while the secret chamber beneath remains a tantalizing enigma. The local legends surrounding the temple add another layer of intrigue. Some say that the temple was designed with a hidden purpose, a mystical geometry that aligns with celestial events. Could the vaults and the hidden chamber beneath Padmanabhaswamy temple be part of a larger, more ancient plan? One that spans not only millennia, but perhaps even the cosmos itself? Was this vault part of a larger system of sacred knowledge, meant to preserve secrets and powers for a time when humanity might be ready to understand them. As the years pass, the mystery of the secret chamber beneath Padmanabhaswamy Temple remains unresolved. Could this chamber hold knowledge that was meant to be kept hidden forever? Or is it merely a relic of the past, lost to time? What lies beneath the vaults of this ancient temple, waiting to be uncovered? The questions are many, but the answers may still be buried, locked away in the heart of the temple itself. The Padmanabhaswamy Temple stands as a monument to both the religious and the mysterious, a place where faith and enigma intersect. And as the secrets of the temple remain locked away, one can only wonder what truths still lie hidden beneath its sacred stones. In the arid expanses of the Andean foothills, near the ancient city of Tiwanaku in modern-day Bolivia, an artifact was discovered in the early 20th century that would baffle archaeologists for decades. The Fuente Magna bowl, a mysterious and intricately carved vessel, remains one of the most enigmatic objects from pre-Columbian South America. Its discovery in 1950 near the banks of the ancient Lake Titicaca sparked a flurry of theories, intrigue, and debates, some of which challenge the very understanding of human history in the Americas. At first glance, the Fuente Magna bowl appears to be a typical pre-Inca artifact, a beautifully crafted stone bowl carved from a type of volcanic rock known as basalt. The bowl, roughly 18 inches in diameter, is adorned with intricate yet unfamiliar symbols that seem almost out of place when compared to other artifacts from the region. Its surface is not smooth, but rather engraved with a series of glyphs and figures that have puzzled experts. While the style of the bowl is consistent with the time periods of the Tiwanaku culture, around 1000 BC, the symbols etched into its surface are not immediately recognizable. What makes the Fuente Magna bowl stand out, however, is not just its craftsmanship, but the language it appears to contain. Some researchers claim that the glyphs are not from any known Andean culture at all. Instead, the script resembles ancient forms of writing that have been found in other parts of the world, most notably in Mesopotamia and Sumeria. The possibility that the bowl's markings represent an ancient form of writing, one that could have been used by a long-lost civilization, raises more questions than answers. Could this be evidence of a transoceanic connection between the peoples of South America and those of the ancient Near East? And if so, what does it mean for our understanding of ancient history? When the Fuente Magna bowl was first discovered, it was kept under wraps for many years. It wasn't until the 1950s that the artifact's significance began to be explored in earnest. The initial interpretation of the symbols on the bowl was inconclusive, as experts found it difficult to draw definitive conclusions about their meaning. However, as the years passed, more and more researchers began to examine the object, and one theory began to gain traction. The glyphs on the Fuente Magna bowl might represent a form of Sumerian or Proto-Sumerian script. This was a startling hypothesis, as it suggested that the bowl, despite being found thousands of miles from Mesopotamia, might have ties to one of the oldest known writing systems in the world. The Sumerians, who lived in ancient Mesopotamia, modern-day Iraq, around 3000 BC, are credited with developing one of the first known forms of writing, cuneiform. This system of writing was used to record trade, legal matters, and religious texts, and it served as the foundation for much of early civilization in the Near East. The idea that such a system might have made its way to South America, a place where advanced civilizations like the Incas and Tiwanaku would rise much later, is an intriguing thought. Could the Fuente Magna bowl be evidence of long-forgotten trade routes that connected ancient civilizations across the world? Was there an ancient network of people who traveled between the continents, sharing knowledge, art, and culture? Some researchers point to the similarities between the Fuente Magna bowl's glyphs and those of early Sumerian writing. The bowl's inscriptions are made up of various signs, some of which resemble the cuneiform characters used by the Sumerians. Other symbols are more geometric in nature, but still carry an air of familiarity, suggesting a connection to early writing systems. However, the lack of concrete evidence of such a connection between the Old World and the New World leaves many skeptics unconvinced. While there are undeniable similarities, could these symbols simply be a coincidence, or perhaps a form of indigenous Andean art that was mistakenly interpreted as a foreign writing system? Adding to the mystery is the context in which the Fuente Magna bowl was found. The artifact was discovered near the ancient ruins of Tiwanaku, one of the most important archaeological sites in the Americas, known for its massive stone structures and monolithic statues. Tiwanaku is thought to have been a major political and religious center around 1000 BC, but its true origins and the identity of its builders remain a mystery. The city predates the Inca Empire by several centuries and is considered a precursor to the Inca civilization in some ways. Yet, despite its importance, Tiwanaku's culture remains poorly understood, with many questions still lingering about its people, their beliefs, and their interactions with other cultures in the region. The discovery of the Fuente Magna bowl near Tiwanaku raises the possibility that this ancient site had connections with other parts of the world. Was Tiwanaku an isolated society, or did it have contact with other ancient civilizations, such as those in Mesopotamia or Egypt? The notion of transoceanic contact between these distant cultures has long been the subject of debate. While mainstream archaeology generally rejects the idea that ancient peoples crossed the oceans in such a way, there are fringe theories that suggest long-lost maritime routes may have existed, connecting distant shores. Could the Fuente Magna bowl be proof of such ancient exchanges? Another intriguing possibility is that the Fuente Magna bowl could have been part of a ritualistic or ceremonial practice. The object's unique shape and intricate carvings suggest that it may have had a symbolic or religious significance for the people of Tiwanaku. Some have proposed that the symbols on the bowl could represent divine knowledge or teachings passed down through generations. The link between the bowl and an ancient script could be an indication that the people of Tiwanaku held a profound understanding of writing, astronomy, or other forms of knowledge that have yet to be fully understood. Despite these various theories, no definitive conclusions have been drawn about the Fuente Magna bowl. It remains one of the most debated and mysterious artifacts from pre-Columbian South America. While some researchers are confident that the bowl's glyphs are an ancient form of writing, others argue that it may simply be an example of symbolic art or cultural expression, without the depth of meaning that many believe it holds. The Fuente Magna bowl continues to spark questions about the nature of ancient civilizations and their connections across time and space. Could it be a key to unlocking lost histories of cultural exchange? Or is it simply a misunderstood artifact, a relic of a society whose meaning has been lost to time? As the search for answers continues, the Fuente Magna bowl stands as a testament to the mysteries that remain hidden, waiting for someone to unravel the truth behind its strange markings and the people who created it. What might we still learn about the forgotten chapters of human history if we dare to dig deeper? Hidden deep in the dense rainforests of the Amazon, within the jagged terrain of the Peruvian Andes, lies one of the most enduring mysteries of South America, Paititi, the fabled city of gold. The legend of Paititi has captivated explorers, historians, and treasure hunters for centuries, with each new expedition offering tantalizing glimpses of its possible existence and leaving behind more questions than answers. Paititi, as it is described in ancient accounts, was said to be a city rich in treasures, golden temples, and unimaginable wealth. Yet, despite numerous efforts to uncover it, the city remains elusive, lost to time and the shifting, impenetrable jungles. The search for Paititi dates back to the Spanish conquest of the Inca Empire in the early 16th century. As the Spanish forces, led by Francisco Pizarro, swept through the Andes, they encountered remnants of the vast Inca civilization. Among these, they heard tales of a hidden city that had somehow escaped the grasp of the empire's conquerors, Paititi. This city was said to be located somewhere beyond the reaches of the Andes, deep within the Amazon, and to be a stronghold of Inca resistance. Some believed that the last of the Incas, led by the young Atahualpa, had fled to this secret refuge, carrying with them unimaginable wealth. The details of Paititi's existence were murky, yet the allure of the city of gold became irresistible to many, including explorers like the Spanish conquistador and adventurer Francisco Orellana. Orellana, after his ill-fated journey along the Amazon River, left behind stories of a distant golden city. For centuries afterward, the dream of finding Paititi was woven into the fabric of exploration in South America, with countless expeditions venturing into the jungle in search of a city that some began to believe was more myth than reality. What makes the search for Paititi so compelling is the fact that the city has never been conclusively found. In a region so rich with archaeological sites, ruins of the Inca and pre-Inca civilizations, why is Paititi still absent from the record? Archaeological teams have uncovered large, sophisticated urban settlements in the Andes and the Amazon basin, yet none of these discoveries match the descriptions given by those who claim to have encountered the fabled city. Could it be that Paititi was a city that was deliberately erased from history, hidden away by the Incas themselves or by other unknown forces? One of the key elements that perpetuates the mystery of Paititi is the idea that it may have been a symbol of resistance to the Spanish invaders. According to some versions of the legend, the Incas, rather than surrendering to the Spanish forces, chose to relocate their treasure to a remote, secure location in the jungles of the Amazon. The idea that Paititi was the last refuge of Inca royalty, a place where the treasures of the empire were protected, is a tantalizing one. But why has no trace of such a grand city been found? Could the city have been intentionally buried, its location concealed by natural means or through elaborate efforts to safeguard its treasures from foreign invaders? There are many theories as to why Paititi has remained hidden for so long. Some archaeologists argue that the city was never meant to be discovered, either by the Spanish or by modern explorers. They suggest that the Incas, aware of the destructive potential of foreign forces, deliberately kept the location of the city a secret, perhaps even hiding it within the uncharted reaches of the jungle. The dense foliage, shifting rivers, and mountainous terrain of the Amazon would have provided an almost impenetrable barrier to outsiders, and the city's builders might have used their knowledge of the land to obscure its existence. Others believe that the city's destruction could have been part of the Incas' deliberate strategy to preserve the treasure. According to some accounts, when the Spanish arrived, the Incas did not simply abandon the city, but they destroyed it themselves, burying their treasures to prevent their capture. The idea of a city left in ruins, with its gold, temples, and treasures sealed beneath layers of earth, remains a potent image, a hidden place with an untold legacy waiting to be uncovered. But beyond these practical theories, there is another line of thought that considers the possibility of something far more mysterious, perhaps even supernatural. Could the disappearance of Paititi be linked to the curses and omens that surrounded the treasure? Over the centuries, explorers have recounted strange and often chilling events during their searches for the city. Some claim to have encountered strange phenomena, disorienting visions, eerie sounds, and an overwhelming sense of being watched. These stories have only fueled the myth of Paititi, lending an almost mystical aura to the quest for the lost city. Is it possible that the city's disappearance is not a matter of geography or military strategy, but something more ethereal, perhaps a force that keeps the city hidden, an unyielding protector that ensures its secrets are never revealed? Despite the uncertainty, the search for Paititi continues to this day. Archaeologists, Treasure hunters and adventurers have scoured the Amazon basin, looking for clues that might lead them to the long-lost city. In recent years, satellite technology has allowed explorers to scan the dense jungle from above, revealing hidden structures and unusual formations that suggest the presence of ancient settlements. Some believe that Paititi may not be one grand city, but a network of smaller settlements spread across the jungle. Others think that the city could lie beneath the canopy, hidden beneath the thick, unmapped wilderness. In 2019, a team of researchers using laser technology called LiDAR discovered evidence of previously unknown settlements in the Amazon. This breakthrough discovery has reignited interest in the theory that Paititi may be a large, undiscovered city or a part of a vast network of settlements that has been lost to time. Could the use of this advanced technology finally provide the breakthrough needed to uncover the location of Paititi? As the search continues, the boundaries between history and legend become increasingly blurred. Was Paititi a real city, or is it simply the stuff of myth, an archetype of the desire for untold riches and a symbol of resistance to colonization? The mystery of Paititi is not just about the search for a physical location. It is about the very nature of discovery and history itself. It speaks to our eternal fascination with the past, with the idea that beneath the surface of the earth, beneath the roots of ancient trees, there lie treasures, forgotten cities, and lost cultures that once thrived. But why is Paititi so elusive? If the city truly existed, where is it? And if it was deliberately concealed, what purpose did that serve? The disappearance of Paititi raises questions not only about the fate of an ancient civilization, but about the forces, both natural and human, that shape history. As more expeditions are launched and more technologies are employed to peer into the thick foliage of the Amazon, the question remains: is Paititi waiting to be discovered, or is it a myth, forever hidden by time, geography, and the very forces that once sought to protect it? The allure of the lost city of gold persists, but its secrets remain locked away in the jungle, just beyond our reach. The disappearance of Paititi is a haunting reminder of the limits of our knowledge, and of how much is still left to uncover in the hidden corners of history. In the quiet corners of museums, hidden in private collections and scattered across Europe, there exists a curious object that has baffled archaeologists, historians, and scholars alike for centuries: the Roman Dodecahedron. These small, enigmatic artifacts, made of bronze, stone, and sometimes even glass, are shaped like a 12-sided polyhedron, each face featuring a circular hole of varying sizes. At first glance, they appear almost decorative, like some ancient form of geometric art. However, their true purpose remains an enduring mystery, one that has puzzled scholars since their discovery. The Roman dodecahedrons have been unearthed across a wide geographic area, from the British Isles to the Mediterranean coast, with notable concentrations in what was once the Roman Empire. Found in various contexts, often in settlements, military camps, and rural areas, these objects typically measure around 10 to 20 centimeters in diameter, but their small size belies the large questions they pose. What were these objects used for? How did they function in daily Roman life? And why were they created in such a peculiar shape? The first dodecahedron was discovered in 1739, when an antiquarian unearthed one near the Roman fort of Housesteads in northern England. Since then, over 100 examples of the object have been found, though many remain locked away in storage or private hands, keeping their secrets well guarded. The dodecahedrons are made with a precise and intricate craftsmanship that suggests they were not casual objects, but carefully constructed with an intended purpose. The polygonal shape itself, with its 12 sides and a hole in the center of each face, has no direct comparison to any other known Roman tool or device. Yet the mystery deepens when we examine the variations in the sizes and designs of the holes, ranging from small, perfectly circular openings to larger, uneven gaps. What could such subtle differences indicate about their function? The most straightforward explanation posited by historians is that these objects were some form of Roman measuring device. Some theorists suggest that the holes could have been used for gauging the size of thread or string, possibly for weaving or textiles. Given that the Roman Empire was renowned for its advanced engineering and craftsmanship, it is entirely plausible that the dodecahedrons could have served as part of a larger system for ensuring precise measurements in trade or industry. In fact, this theory aligns with the sophisticated Roman understanding of geometry and the importance of standardization in their economy. However, the question remains: why the seemingly over-engineered 12-sided shape? Why not a simpler tool, one that would be easier to manufacture and use? Another theory, gaining traction in recent years, suggests that the dodecahedrons were used for a more mysterious and perhaps even ritualistic purpose. Some have speculated that they were used in religious ceremonies or divination. In a world where omens and portents held great significance, especially within the polytheistic cultures of ancient Rome, it's possible that the dodecahedrons functioned as an instrument for reading the will of the gods. Could the varying sizes of the holes represent different divine messages, or perhaps different types of sacrifices, offerings, or rituals? Were they placed in a specific configuration or arrangement to facilitate a kind of ritual practice that connected the physical and spiritual realms? The lack of definitive evidence regarding their use in such practices has led to further speculation. Some suggest that the dodecahedrons were employed by Roman soldiers, who may have used them to gauge the strength or durability of materials, or to test the distance between objects or structures. Others argue that the Roman dodecahedrons could have been a form of astronomical tool, perhaps used to track the movement of the stars or planets. The ancient Romans were highly advanced in their understanding of the cosmos, and the dodecahedron's multifaceted, symmetrical design may have been ideal for mapping celestial bodies. But again, there is no direct evidence to support this theory, and the question lingers. Could the dodecahedrons have served a more specific purpose, one that we have yet to understand? As we delve deeper into the mystery, we encounter even more peculiar aspects of the Roman dodecahedrons. One of the most fascinating features of these objects is their widespread distribution. The dodecahedrons have been discovered across the Roman Empire, spanning from modern-day Germany and France to Italy, and as far as Syria and the British Isles. Why were these items not confined to one region, but instead spread out across the vast expanse of the Roman Empire? Could their widespread use indicate that they were part of a common Roman practice, shared across various social classes and regions? Or did they function as a kind of secret tool, known only to a select group of Roman elites or a specialized class within society? In recent years, researchers have posited a much bolder theory, one that suggests the dodecahedrons may have been related to advanced, even lost, knowledge. Could these objects represent a form of technology that we have lost or forgotten? A piece of Roman ingenuity that has been misinterpreted by modern archaeologists? Some fringe theorists speculate that the dodecahedrons may have been part of a system of advanced mathematics or even early forms of mechanical computation. Could these objects have been used in a way that we cannot yet comprehend, perhaps as part of a larger, forgotten field of Roman science? The Romans were known for their engineering feats, from aqueducts to roadways to complex mechanical devices. Is it possible that the dodecahedrons were part of an experimental system that aimed to harness mathematical precision for purposes we have yet to fully grasp? Another theory hinges on the idea that the dodecahedrons may have been connected to the famed Roman military. Given that many of these objects have been found near Roman forts or military sites, it's conceivable that they served a tactical purpose, perhaps as part of a training exercise or as a navigational tool for soldiers. Some have suggested that the varying holes might have allowed soldiers to measure the angle of elevation or to calibrate the trajectory of projectiles, such as those used in the Roman artillery. Yet, once again, there is no concrete evidence to confirm this idea, leaving the purpose of these objects open to interpretation. As the centuries pass, the question of the Roman dodecahedrons remains unresolved. While we may have uncovered some plausible theories about their purpose, the true nature of these objects continues to elude us. What could have driven the Romans to craft such intricate and mysterious objects, and why did they spread them across the empire? Were they meant to serve a practical function, or were they part of a grander, more esoteric system of knowledge that has since been lost to time? The answers to these questions remain buried, just like the dodecahedrons themselves, scattered across history and awaiting rediscovery. Perhaps one day, further research will shed light on the purpose of these objects. For now, the Roman dodecahedrons stand as a haunting reminder of the complexities and mysteries of the ancient world. Objects of unknown function, created by a civilization whose knowledge of geometry, mathematics, and the cosmos still holds the potential to surprise us. Until then, the Roman dodecahedrons remain locked in their geometric perfection, inviting us to explore their enigmatic purpose and uncover the secrets they hold. Secrets that may have been hidden for millennia, waiting for us to understand them. Deep beneath the surface of China's Shanxi province, hidden beneath layers of earth, stone, and time, lies one of the most remarkable and mysterious burial sites ever discovered. The tomb of Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of China. Qin Shi Huang's burial site, situated near the famous Terracotta Army, was designed to reflect the power and grandeur of an emperor who sought to immortalize himself for eternity. Yet, what makes this tomb particularly extraordinary is not only the scale of its construction, or the awe-inspiring terracotta warriors that stand guard, but the mysterious Mercury rivers that were discovered in the tomb's subterranean chambers. In 1974, a team of farmers stumbled upon the vast underground mausoleum while digging a well, triggering an excavation that would soon become one of the most significant archaeological finds in history. The tomb itself, an enormous and highly complex structure, is thought to have been constructed to mimic the emperor's empire, complete with full-sized armies, palaces, and even replicas of his court. Yet, the most intriguing and haunting aspect of the tomb lies in its unassuming yet dangerous rivers of Mercury. As archaeologists slowly made their way deeper into the burial complex, they discovered that the emperor's burial chamber was surrounded by artificial rivers, which, upon further investigation, were found to be filled with liquid mercury. The tomb is believed to be designed to simulate the flow of the Yangtze and Yellow rivers, the two most important rivers in China, that are said to have played a vital role in the development of Chinese civilization. The presence of mercury in these rivers, however, is where the mystery takes a darker and more perplexing turn. Mercury, a toxic and highly volatile metal, is not typically associated with burial practices. In fact, the discovery of mercury within the tomb was so unsettling that it prompted concerns over the preservation of the site and the potential health risks for those who would study it. The rivers themselves are thought to have been meticulously crafted to replicate the natural flow of water, and even the chamber's ceiling was said to be decorated with an elaborate star map made from liquid mercury, an eerie reflection of the night sky, meant to guide the emperor on his journey to the afterlife. Yet, the most striking aspect of the Mercury rivers is not merely their presence, but their purpose. Why would the emperor's tomb, a place designed for eternity, contain such a dangerous substance? And why would an ancient civilization, with its advanced knowledge of construction and engineering, have chosen to incorporate mercury into their burial practices? Was it simply a symbol of the emperor's power, meant to reflect his control over the natural world? Or did the mercury have a deeper, more symbolic meaning, linked to immortality, protection, or even the emperor's belief in the afterlife. Historians and archaeologists have long debated the purpose of these Mercury rivers. One popular theory suggests that the Mercury was used to represent the rivers of China in a literal, symbolic sense, with the emperor needing to cross these Mercury rivers to reach the afterlife. In ancient Chinese cosmology, rivers were often associated with spiritual boundaries, both in life and death. The use of Mercury could have been a way of symbolizing these natural barriers, offering the emperor protection on his journey to the other side. Some also speculate that the Mercury may have been used to reflect the emperor's power over nature and the world, a way of demonstrating his control over the forces that shaped the physical realm. Another theory posits that the Mercury had more practical and perhaps more nefarious intentions. Could the rivers of Mercury have been designed as a deadly trap, intended to prevent grave robbers from accessing the emperor's tomb? The idea of using Mercury as a form of protection is not entirely without precedent in ancient cultures. Some have suggested that the emperor may have wanted to ensure that his tomb and the treasures and relics buried within it remained undisturbed, even centuries after his death. Mercury, being both dangerous and difficult to manipulate, could have been a potent deterrent for anyone seeking to plunder the tomb. The idea that the emperor would go to such lengths to protect his burial site speaks to the profound sense of paranoia and fear that accompanied his quest for immortality. A third theory, gaining more attention in recent years, delves into the realm of the supernatural. Could the Mercury rivers have been linked to a belief in immortality or a spiritual transformation? The ancient Chinese were deeply concerned with the afterlife and the possibility of transcending death, with practices like alchemy and the search for elixirs of life becoming prevalent during Qin Shi Huang's reign. Mercury, in particular, was believed to have mystical properties, often associated with immortality or divine power in alchemical traditions. Some suggest that the emperor, in his desire for eternal life, may have believed that the Mercury could preserve his body or grant him the power to transcend death. In this sense, the rivers could have been more than just a geographical symbol. They might have represented the crossing between life and death, a passage that would lead the emperor to eternal life. However, it is the dangerous and toxic nature of Mercury that has given rise to some of the more unsettling theories surrounding the tomb. In recent years, some scholars have speculated that the emperor's obsession with immortality may have ultimately contributed to his own demise. Historical accounts suggest that Qin Shi Huang, driven by a relentless pursuit of eternal life, consumed large quantities of mercury, believing it would grant him the immortality he so desperately sought. Did the emperor's faith in the power of mercury play a role in his early death, which occurred at the age of 49, just a few years after the construction of his tomb began? Some have even suggested that his tomb, with its rivers of mercury, may have been both a reflection of his ambition and an eerie irony intended to ensure eternal life, but also perhaps a symbol of the dangers of seeking immortality through unnatural means. Despite the numerous theories, one thing remains certain: the mercury rivers in the tomb of Qin Shi Huang are among the most perplexing and haunting aspects of his burial site. The substance's presence raises profound questions about the beliefs, practices, and aspirations of one of China's most powerful emperors. Was it a symbol of divine power, a deadly trap, or a misguided attempt at eternal life? And why, even in an age of remarkable construction and engineering, did the tomb's designers choose mercury as the central element of such an elaborate and dangerous ritual? Today, much of the tomb and its mercury rivers remain inaccessible. While archaeological teams have studied the site, much of the tomb has been left sealed to preserve its integrity and prevent any further damage from exposure to the toxic mercury. As a result, many of the secrets of the tomb and the true purpose of the rivers remain locked away, buried beneath layers of history and earth. As scientists and historians continue to study the tomb and its many mysteries, we are left to ponder the significance of these Mercury rivers. Are they simply a reflection of ancient Chinese symbolism, or do they represent something far more profound? A belief in immortality, a quest for eternal life, or a legacy of a ruler whose ambition transcended death itself? The tomb of Qin Shi Huang's Mercury rivers continues to speak to us from the past, its secrets still waiting to be uncovered and understood. And perhaps, as we peer into the depths of the emperor's burial site, we can learn not only about his life and death, but about the lengths to which humanity will go in search of immortality and the dangers that come with such pursuits. Buried beneath the sands of time, in the ruins of an ancient palace on the Greek island of Crete, lies an object that has baffled scholars, cryptographers, and historians for over a century. The Phaistos disk, a small, intricately carved clay disk, was discovered in 1908 by the Italian archaeologist Luigi Pernier during excavations at the Minoan archaeological site of Phaistos. At first glance, the disk appears to be an ordinary artifact, yet its strange symbols, pressed into the surface with remarkable precision, have prompted centuries of mystery and speculation. The disk, measuring about 6 inches in diameter, is inscribed with a series of symbols that have never been definitively deciphered. These symbols are arranged in a spiral, moving from the outer edge toward the center of the disk. Each symbol, thought to represent a distinct pictogram, is carefully stamped into the clay, suggesting a high degree of craftsmanship and intention. Despite being an ancient artifact, the disk is in surprisingly good condition, its engraved symbols still clearly visible, inviting closer inspection and perhaps interpretation. The context in which the Phaistos disk was found adds to its allure. It was unearthed in the ruins of a palace that dates back to the Minoan civilization, which flourished on Crete during the Aegean Bronze Age, around 1450 BC. The Minoans, known for their advanced architecture, frescoes, and sophisticated trading networks, left behind a wealth of artifacts, but none as enigmatic as the Phaistos disk. Despite its proximity to other well-documented Minoan objects and art, the script on the disk does not resemble any known writing system from the ancient world. The disk's discovery, at a site once considered a center of Minoan power, immediately raised questions about the civilization's level of literacy and record-keeping. Did the Minoans possess a written language, and if so, was this disk a key to understanding it? If the Phaistos disk indeed carries a form of written communication, then why has it proven so difficult to decipher? Why does it remain one of the most compelling mysteries in the study of ancient languages? Several theories have emerged regarding the purpose and meaning of the symbols. Some suggest that the Phaistos disk could represent an early form of writing, possibly a precursor to the Linear A script, another Minoan script that remains undeciphered to this day. This theory is based on the belief that the disk may be a form of proto-writing, an early attempt to represent language symbolically before a more standardized script emerged. If this is the case, then the Phaistos disk could hold the key to unlocking the earliest stages of written Minoan culture. Others propose that the disk could be a religious or ritual object, with the symbols representing sacred texts or chants. The spiral arrangement of the symbols may suggest a ritualistic purpose, perhaps meant to guide an initiate through a ceremonial process. Given the Minoans' reverence for nature and the divine, it's possible that the symbols on the disk had a spiritual or mythological significance. Could the disk represent a sacred formula, encoded in symbols, which only the elite few could understand? Was it used in sacred rites to invoke divine favor, or to transmit secret knowledge from one generation to the next? There is also the possibility that the Phaistos disk could be a form of artistic expression rather than a functional record of language. Some researchers suggest that the disk might have been a prototype for a more elaborate and symbolic script that was never fully realized. The unusual nature of the symbols, their seeming abstraction and lack of immediate connection to any known alphabet or syllabary may indicate an experimental writing system, one that was never meant to become widespread, but was instead created for personal or artistic use. As the years have passed, the mystery of the disc has only deepened. Various attempts to decipher the symbols have yielded little success. The most prominent theory is that the script is a form of pictorial writing, a symbolic representation of concepts or words, but the exact meaning remains elusive. Some have likened the disc to the Egyptian hieroglyphs, which combined ideograms and phonetic signs. Yet, unlike hieroglyphs, no key has yet been found to unlock the meaning of the Phaistos disc's symbols. Even more perplexing is the fact that no other examples of this script have been discovered. No other inscriptions or documents that might provide context or parallels for understanding the disc. The absence of other similar artifacts only adds to the puzzle. While writing systems such as cuneiform in Mesopotamia and hieroglyphs in Egypt were well established and widespread, the Phaistos disc appears to be an isolated anomaly. The lack of any other examples of the same script suggests that either the disc was a unique experiment, or it represents a lost or forgotten writing system that never gained traction. Was this writing system a one-off creation, or was it part of a wider cultural tradition that simply vanished over time? Some fringe theories even suggest that the Phaistos disc might not be a product of the Minoan civilization at all. Could it have been created by a different culture, one that had contact with the Minoans or even influenced their writing systems? Some researchers have proposed that the symbols on the disc resemble certain Mediterranean scripts, particularly those found in the Near East, leading to the speculation that the disc might be the product of external influence. Others have suggested that it could be a product of an entirely different culture, now lost to history, with knowledge or methods that we have yet to uncover. The absence of any concrete answers to the mystery of the Phaistos disc has not deterred scholars from continuing to investigate its origins and meaning. In fact, the disc has become one of the most famous unsolved riddles in the study of ancient languages, inspiring a multitude of theories and hypotheses. Some believe that the key to deciphering the script may lie in a careful examination of the disc's symbols, looking for recurring patterns or combinations that could reveal a hidden structure. Others argue that the meaning of the Phaistos disc may be unknowable, that it represents a lost form of communication forever beyond our reach. As we reflect on the Phaistos disc, we are reminded of the fragility of human history. The disc itself, with its well-crafted symbols and enduring mystery, serves as a poignant reminder of how much of the ancient world remains out of reach. What secrets lie within those carved symbols? What knowledge did they once hold, and what has been lost to time? The Phaistos disc may never give up all its answers, but its existence calls into question the boundaries of human memory, language, and communication. Is this a message from a distant past or a riddle too complex for us to solve? The disc's secrets may remain forever buried, leaving us to wonder what other forgotten languages or scripts might still exist, waiting to be rediscovered. Beneath the dusty plains of central Turkey, in the Cappadocia region, lies a hidden world that stretches deep into the earth. The underground city of Derinkuyu, with its labyrinthine passages and vast subterranean chambers, is one of the most remarkable and enigmatic archaeological sites ever discovered. Carved from the soft volcanic rock known as tuff, this subterranean maze offers a glimpse into a world that few ever imagined existed, let alone thrived, hidden from view, for centuries. But the question remains, why was this vast underground complex built, and how did it remain hidden for so long? The discovery of Derinkuyu dates back to 1963, when a local man, while renovating his home, stumbled upon a hidden passage behind a wall. What he uncovered was nothing short of astonishing: an entire underground city, stretching down some 60 meters, almost 200 feet, below ground. Since then, archaeologists have unearthed a sprawling network of tunnels, rooms, and chambers, some of which stretch for miles, interconnected by narrow passageways, steep staircases, and cleverly designed ventilation shafts. The site, believed to have been in use since at least the 8th century BC, is estimated to have housed tens of thousands of people at its peak. The complexity and size of the underground city are breathtaking. In Derinkuyu, one can find a series of large rooms, including kitchens, stables, living quarters, and even places of worship. Massive stone doors, often weighing several tons, were designed to seal off entire levels of the city, providing security and protection in the event of an attack. These doors, some of which could be rolled into place, were so large and heavy that they could only be opened from the inside, ensuring that anyone trapped within would be safe from invaders. Some theorists suggest that the city may have been intended as a refuge, a place where its inhabitants could retreat in times of danger. But the sheer scale of the complex raises another question. Who were these people, and why did they go to such extraordinary lengths to create a hidden world beneath the surface? While it's clear that Derinkuyu was not a city built by the Romans or the Greeks, who were known for their monumental above-ground constructions, the people behind the labyrinth are thought to have been the Phrygians, an ancient Anatolian people who settled in the region around the 8th century BC. However, some scholars believe that Derinkuyu might have been expanded and further developed by later civilizations, including the early Christians, who sought shelter from Roman persecution. The city is thought to have been used intermittently over the centuries, especially during times of invasions and religious unrest. Yet, the reasons behind its creation remain shrouded in mystery. The most commonly accepted theory is that Derinkuyu served as a refuge, an underground stronghold designed to protect its inhabitants from foreign invaders or marauding armies. The region of Cappadocia was strategically located along ancient trade routes, making it a target for conquest. In such a context, it's easy to imagine that the people of Derinkuyu needed a safe haven to escape the turmoil of the outside world. But why did they create a city underground, rather than fortifying a settlement above ground, like so many other ancient civilizations? The answer may lie in the very nature of the landscape. Cappadocia is famous for its unique geography, characterized by soft volcanic rock formations that are easy to carve yet remarkably stable once shaped. This made the region an ideal place for constructing subterranean dwellings. The people of Derinkuyu harnessed the natural landscape, carving out vast underground spaces that were both practical and protective. The network of tunnels and chambers allowed for efficient storage of food and water, as well as for the ventilation of air, creating a self-sustaining environment in which large populations could survive for extended periods. Yet, as archaeologists explore deeper into the maze of tunnels, new questions emerge. For one, how did the builders of Derinkuyu construct such a vast underground city with such precision, given the limited tools and technology of the time? The sophistication of the city's ventilation system, comprising dozens of vertical shafts, which connected to the surface and ensured a constant flow of fresh air, raises further questions about the level of engineering expertise possessed by its creators. Could these ancient engineers have had knowledge of advanced techniques that have since been lost? Or were they simply a product of their environment, using the landscape and its natural features to create a functional, albeit extraordinary, refuge? Another intriguing aspect of Derinkuyu is its seemingly deliberate isolation. While the city is extensive, there are few visible signs of direct connections to other settlements. This raises the possibility that the people of Derinkuyu intended the city to be self-contained, capable of sustaining an entire community without the need for interaction with the outside world. Was this self-sufficiency a response to the threat of invasion? Or was there a deeper, more mysterious reason for the city's creation? Could it have been a sacred or symbolic retreat, a place where people sought to live apart from the chaos and violence of the above-ground world? Over the years, other underground cities have been discovered in the region, though none are as large or as intricate as Derinkuyu. The similarities between these sites, particularly in terms of their architecture and layout, suggest that the people of Cappadocia may have had an extensive tradition of underground living. Some researchers argue that these subterranean cities were not isolated to one period in history, but rather were built and used intermittently over centuries by various civilizations, each adapting the system to their own needs. Could it be that these underground complexes represent an ongoing cultural tradition, perhaps even dating back to a time before recorded history? The sheer size and complexity of Derinkuyu, along with the absence of definitive historical records, has led to more speculative theories about its purpose. Some have suggested that the city was a center of worship or mystical knowledge, a place where secret rituals were performed and sacred rites were carried out. Others have proposed that Derinkuyu could have served as a refuge for ancient religious or political groups, hiding away from the prying eyes of rulers or invaders. Was it a place for early Christians to practice their faith in secret, away from Roman persecution? Or perhaps it was a holdover from an ancient civilization that was aware of impending destruction and sought to preserve itself underground. But there are also those who take a more fringe view, positing that Derinkuyu could be linked to even more ancient, possibly lost civilizations. Some believe the site may be connected to pre-flood cultures, dating back to the mythic age of Atlantis or the lost civilizations of the distant past. Could Derinkuyu represent an ancient underground city built by a culture far older than the Phrygians? Its size and complexity seem to suggest a level of sophistication that might indicate a civilization with knowledge and technology far beyond what was thought possible for its time. As with many mysteries buried beneath the earth, Derinkuyu leaves more questions than answers. What remains of the people who created this underground city? What drove them to carve out such an elaborate, hidden world? Was Derinkuyu a refuge built to shield a people from the dangers of their time? Or was it something far more significant, something tied to ancient knowledge, sacred rites, or a forgotten past? As we continue to study the underground labyrinth, we find ourselves drawn not only to the remarkable architecture and ingenuity of Derinkuyu, but to the questions it leaves behind. What remains hidden in the depths of the earth, awaiting discovery? What other mysteries of the ancient world lie just beneath our feet, waiting to be unearthed and understood? The labyrinth of Derinkuyu may hold its secrets tightly, but it continues to whisper its riddles to those who dare to listen. In the quiet town of Bath, nestled in the rolling hills of southwestern England, a strange and mysterious relic was uncovered in the early 18th century. The object in question, a small, weathered lead tablet, became the subject of both scholarly intrigue and local folklore, the so-called Curse Tablet of Bath. This curious artifact, believed to date from the Roman occupation of Britain around the 2nd century AD, was unearthed in the ruins of a Roman bathhouse. It is an artifact that remains as puzzling as it is fascinating, casting light on the ancient Roman practices and beliefs while simultaneously raising questions about the personal grievances and rituals of those who used the bathhouses of this ancient spa town. The tablet itself is a flat, thin sheet of lead, inscribed with a series of words and symbols that seem to embody a ritualistic intent. Its dimensions are small, no more than a few inches in length, but the message etched upon it holds an intensity that far exceeds its modest size. The text is written in Latin, a language that was once the lingua franca of the Roman Empire, and it bears all the hallmarks of a curse, a powerful invocation of divine forces meant to bring harm or misfortune upon another. The curse itself is directed at a person, or possibly a group of individuals, though the specifics are frustratingly unclear. The tablet is addressed to a series of gods and deities, asking them to punish a thief who has wronged the writer, an act that seems trivial on the surface, yet reveals much about the mindset and practices of ancient Romans. What is particularly striking about the cursed tablet of Bath is its context. Bath was known in Roman Britain for its healing hot springs, a site of pilgrimage and relaxation, where people would come to bathe in the warm waters believed to have curative properties. The ritual baths were not only places of physical cleansing, but also of spiritual rejuvenation, where Romans could connect with the divine. The tablet, with its vengeful words, was not placed in a public temple or a grand altar. Instead, it was part of a practice embedded in the very fabric of Roman social life. It was likely written by an individual who felt wronged, seeking divine retribution through the ancient practice of defixio, curse tablets. These defixio tablets, which were used throughout the Roman Empire, were often created to express frustration or anger toward another person. The curses could range from personal disputes, such as a lover's betrayal or a stolen possession, to more complex and ominous invocations. The method of crafting such a curse was significant. These tablets were usually made of lead or sometimes pewter, materials that could be easily inscribed and bent into shape. The act of inscribing the curse was itself an act of binding, and it was believed that once the words were written, the fate of the target would be sealed, their misdeeds caught in a web woven by divine forces. The curse, Tablet of Bath specifically, is a rare example of such an inscription being discovered in the context of Roman Britain. It is one of many that have surfaced across the former empire, often found in places associated with sacred or healing sites. Yet this particular tablet stands out, not just for its curse, but for the tantalizing glimpse it offers into the personal lives and everyday struggles of the Roman citizens who inhabited this corner of the empire. What had the thief done? Why was the curse directed at them, and how did the writer hope to achieve justice? The text of the curse itself is partially legible, but it remains fragmented. We know that it addresses the gods, invoking their power to bring punishment. The name of the thief is mentioned, though it has been lost to time. The curse is wrapped in a web of religious ritual and fervent desire for vengeance, but without more context, it is unclear whether the individual who wrote the tablet was successful in their aim, or whether their plea for divine retribution was answered. Was this curse merely a symbolic gesture of frustration, or did the writer truly believe that the gods would intervene and mete out punishment? This question of belief is at the heart of the mystery. While the Romans were pragmatic and deeply involved in the politics of empire building, their personal lives were infused with a deep sense of spirituality. Gods, deities, and divine forces were part of the everyday fabric of Roman society, and curse tablets were a way to call upon those powers in times of personal crisis. The fact that such tablets were used so widely across the empire, from Britain to North Africa, indicates that there was a shared understanding of the power of these written invocations. But what does this tell us about the everyday concerns of ordinary Romans? Were they really convinced that their gods would respond to their pleas for vengeance? Or were these curses merely a form of social ritual, a way to express frustration in a society where personal grievances could often go unheard? The Cursed Tablet of Bath also raises broader questions about the role of public space in ancient Roman life. The bathhouses, like many other public spaces, were centers of both physical and social life. They were places where people came together, where business was conducted, and where personal connections were made and broken. It's in this space that the curse was written, suggesting that these public spaces were not just places for relaxation and socializing, but also places for the expression of personal grievances and desires for justice. Were these bathhouses seen as places where people could also seek the divine to right the wrongs that had been done to them? Was the ritual of the curse, performed in such a space, a symbolic part of the healing process for those who sought revenge? Interestingly, the use of curse tablets, particularly in places like Bath, also speaks to the intersection of healing and harm in the Roman worldview. Bath was known for its curative hot springs, a symbol of purity and rejuvenation. Yet, in the same space where people sought physical and spiritual healing, others sought to bring harm to their adversaries through curses, demonstrating the complex and multifaceted nature of Roman life. The bathhouses were as much places of vengeance as they were of rejuvenation, spaces where people could cleanse themselves of physical ailments, but also purify their anger through the invocation of divine powers. While much of the text on the tablet is indecipherable, the act of its creation speaks volumes. The cursed tablet of Bath is not just an object. It is a window into the emotions, struggles, and beliefs of an individual in the Roman Empire. It offers a glimpse into the personal lives of people who, despite living thousands of years ago, shared very human desires: the desire for justice, the need to protect one's property, and the urge to exact retribution on those who wronged them. The mysterious nature of the curse, coupled with the fragmentary state of the text, leaves us with more questions than answers. Who was the thief? What was the significance of the objects or actions that prompted this curse? And perhaps most intriguingly, did the gods intervene in the life of the person who inscribed the tablet, as they so fervently hoped? As we reflect on the cursed tablet of Bath, we are reminded of the strange and often paradoxical nature of human belief. In a world that could seem overwhelmingly harsh and uncertain, this small lead tablet represented a desperate attempt to wrest control from the unpredictable forces of fate. It stands as a testament to the personal, the private, and the deeply emotional lives of those who lived under the shadow of the Roman Empire, leaving behind a curse that still, thousands of years later, echoes in the mysteries of history. Who were the people who used this tablet, and what did they truly believe in? The curse still whispers from its ancient form, drawing us into a world where faith, vengeance, and the divine intertwined in ways we may never fully understand. And as long as the text remains partially obscured, the mysteries of the cursed tablet of Bath will continue to haunt us, leaving us to wonder what other secrets lie beneath the surface of this ancient relic. Hidden somewhere in the misty waters off the coast of Ireland lies a place that has captivated the imagination for centuries, an island that appears on ancient maps, yet has never been conclusively found. This is the mystery of Hy-Brasil, a land of legend and myth, whose very existence seems to ebb in and out of the tides of history. Described by some as a paradise, by others as a lost land of wisdom, Hy-Brasil has been sought after by explorers, scholars, and dreamers alike. Yet, despite its recurring appearances on maps from antiquity and the Middle Ages, no one has ever been able to conclusively identify it. The first known mention of Hy-Brasil appears in the writings of early Irish mythology. In these accounts, it is described as an island far to the west of Ireland, home to an advanced and mystical people, sometimes said to be ruled by a king or a high priestess. Its name itself, Hy-Brasil, has been interpreted in various ways, but one of the most widely accepted meanings is Island of the Blessed. It is often depicted as a place of great beauty, with lush forests, sparkling waters, and wise sages offering their knowledge to those who could find it. Some legends even suggest that it was a land of eternal life, where inhabitants lived free from disease and death. But what is most intriguing about Hy-Brasil is not just its mystical qualities, but its persistent elusiveness. An island that seemed to appear in the fog, only to vanish again. The story of Hy-Brasil spans over a millennium. From the early Irish sagas to maps created in the 16th and 17th centuries, the island is depicted in varying degrees of detail. The island's precise location, however, is often inconsistent. sometimes positioned off the coast of Ireland, sometimes farther west in the Atlantic. In these early cartographic depictions, Hy-Brasil appears as a small, circular landmass, often drawn with an almost supernatural aura. The island is regularly shrouded in mist, and some maps even go so far as to show a phantom island, visible only once every 7 years, further fueling the sense of mystery surrounding it. One of the most famous early maps to feature Hy-Brasil is the Piri Reis map of 1513, a highly detailed world map created by the Ottoman admiral and cartographer. The map shows an island in the North Atlantic, roughly where Hy-Brasil is believed to lie. In fact, many early explorers who set sail westward from Europe, seeking new lands in the New World, also mentioned sightings of an island that seemed to appear and disappear, much like the phantom Hy-Brasil. These sightings were often brief and vague, leaving us with more questions than answers. What did these sailors see or think they saw? And why did they continue to report such an island's appearance over centuries, despite there being no concrete evidence of its existence? As the centuries passed, the idea of Hy-Brasil evolved. In some stories, it became less of a physical location and more of a symbolic place, a representation of an unreachable utopia or a paradise that existed only in the imagination. For some, it became a part of the Celtic tradition of other worlds, mysterious realms that exist just beyond the veil of the living. It was said that the island was visible only under specific conditions, veiled in mist or fog, making it appear ethereal and elusive. It was sometimes believed to be invisible, with only a select few ever able to see it clearly. Such accounts fed into the myth that Hy-Brasil was not just a physical place, but also a metaphysical one, a place that existed between the worlds of the living and the dead, a realm that offered immortality, wisdom, and enlightenment to those who found it. One of the most curious aspects of Hy-Brasil's legend is its cyclical disappearance. As early as the 14th century, records suggest that the island was visible only once every 7 years, a tantalizing glimpse before it slipped away into the mist once again. Some historians and researchers have speculated that this might have been a metaphor for a real island that was difficult to reach or hard to navigate due to fog, storms, or treacherous seas. But other theories point to a more mystical explanation, suggesting that Hy-Brasil was a place that could only be accessed by those who were worthy, a place that allowed entry only to a select few. These accounts invite us to wonder, was Hy-Brasil a real place that vanished due to natural causes? Or was it always more of an idea, a place that existed only in stories and the imagination? As for its actual location, the debate remains open. Could Hy-Brasil have been a real place? An island that has since submerged into the sea, lost to natural erosion or the rising tides? Some researchers have suggested that it could have been the Azores or even the Canary Islands, archipelagos that were known to ancient navigators and that fit some descriptions of Hy-Brasil. Other more speculative theories have suggested that Hy-Brasil could be linked to a now lost continent, submerged deep beneath the ocean's surface, waiting to be rediscovered. Yet, the fact that no one has ever conclusively located the island, or even found substantial evidence to prove its existence, continues to mystify. Perhaps Hy-Brasil was never meant to be found, a concept of the unreachable, the unknowable, that exists in the space between myth and reality. The island may live on as a symbol of the desire for discovery and the search for paradise, a place that remains elusive, both in the literal and figurative sense. As we reflect on the story of Hy-Brasil, we are left with more questions than answers. Was it an actual island, lost to time and nature, or was it simply a powerful myth woven into the fabric of human history? And if it was real, where did it go, and what happened to it? The mystery of Hy-Brasil continues to haunt the imagination, inviting us to wonder whether it might still be out there, hidden in the mists, waiting for the right moment to reappear, or whether it will remain a legend forever, a symbol of human longing and the unreachable ideal. In the quiet, windswept hills of southern Italy lies a curious and enigmatic stone, one that has sparked debates and speculation for centuries. The Saxa Loquuntur stone, which translates to "the stones speak," is a large, weathered boulder inscribed with symbols that have defied interpretation since its discovery. Found in the early 20th century near the ancient site of the Samnite civilization, this mysterious artifact has become the subject of numerous theories and scholarly inquiries. Yet, despite the best efforts of historians, linguists, and archaeologists, the meaning of the stone's inscriptions remains unresolved, leaving us to wonder whether it is an artifact of a lost civilization or a cryptic message, meant to be understood only by those with the right key. The Saxa Loquuntur stone itself is unassuming in appearance, a rough, uneven slab of stone standing upright in the ground, about 3 feet tall and 5 feet wide. Its surface is marked by an intricate array of symbols, some appearing to be letters, others more abstract shapes. The carvings are deep and deliberate, suggesting they were made with purpose and skill. The stone's surface, weathered by centuries of exposure to the elements, still manages to reveal the precision with which it was etched. What is most intriguing, however, is that these markings do not appear to belong to any known language or alphabet from the ancient world, further heightening the enigma of the stone's origin. The first recorded mention of the Saxa Loquuntur stone came in the early 1900s, when a local farmer discovered it while plowing his fields in the region of Campania. Intrigued by the markings, he alerted a group of local scholars, who soon identified the stone as an important artifact, though its exact purpose remained unclear. The symbols, etched into the rock with an unknown method, did not resemble any known ancient writing systems. The stone's proximity to the Samnite site further piqued interest, as it suggested a possible link to the ancient Samnite civilization, which once thrived in this region before being absorbed by the Roman Empire. The Samnites, a group of Italic tribes who inhabited central and southern Italy, were known for their resistance against Roman expansion and their rich cultural traditions. While they left behind many artifacts, their writing system was relatively limited, with only a handful of inscriptions known to have survived. It is possible that the Saxa Loquuntur stone was created by the Samnites or another ancient civilization in the region, but its cryptic symbols raise an unsettling question. Could it represent a lost language, or a code meant to convey information that we can no longer decipher? The exact age of the Saxa Loquuntur stone is difficult to determine, but scholars agree that it likely dates to the pre-Roman period, possibly around the 4th or 3rd century BC. This would place it within the time of the Samnites' peak, a period marked by fierce independence and conflict with the growing power of Rome. Could the stone be a record of a particular event or a form of communication, written by a people who had no way of knowing that their message would eventually be lost to time? Or, as some speculate, could it represent something more? Perhaps a message that was meant to be hidden, a secret that only a few would understand. Despite the stone's historical context, its inscriptions do not correlate with any known Samnite script or any other language of the time. This has led to several theories about its origins. Some believe the stone's markings could be the remnants of a forgotten language, an ancient dialect or script that was used by the Samnites or a neighboring tribe, only to be lost after their eventual defeat by the Romans. Could it be that this forgotten language was deliberately erased from history, its speakers absorbed into the Roman Empire, leaving only this stone behind as a silent reminder of a lost cultural identity? Another theory proposes that the stone could be a form of cryptic writing, designed not for communication, but for ritualistic or religious purposes. The Samnites, like many ancient cultures, practiced elaborate religious ceremonies, and it is possible that the stone served as an object of worship or as part of a sacred ritual. The markings might have been intended to invoke divine favor, to mark a sacred space, or to protect the area from evil forces. The phrase Saxa Loquuntur, the stones speak, suggests a belief in the power of inanimate objects to communicate with the divine, a theme that recurs in various forms throughout ancient cultures. There is also the possibility that the stone's inscriptions represent a form of proto-writing, an early attempt to represent language or concept symbolically. This theory aligns with other early writing systems, such as the hieroglyphs of ancient Egypt or the cuneiform script of Mesopotamia, where pictures and symbols were used to convey meaning before a fully developed alphabetic script emerged. If the Saxa Loquuntur stone is a form of proto-writing, it would suggest that the Samnites, or another ancient culture in the region, had a system of writing that predated those of more widely known civilizations. However, without more examples of similar inscriptions, this remains speculative. The most compelling theory, however, is the possibility that the stone is a deliberate hoax, an artifact created in more recent centuries to confuse or confound scholars. There is a long history of archaeological forgeries, and the Saxa Loquuntur stone's cryptic inscriptions could be the work of someone seeking to craft a mystery for future generations. While this theory does not explain why the stone was so meticulously crafted, it does raise questions about the authenticity of the markings. Could it be that the Saxa Loquuntur stone is a clever creation, intended to exploit the fascination with ancient mysteries, rather than a genuine relic of the past? As with many ancient artifacts, the more we learn about the Saxa Loquuntur stone, the more questions it raises. Its origin, purpose, and meaning remain elusive. The inscriptions, while undeniably intricate, have yet to yield any definitive answers. What knowledge, if any, do these markings conceal? Could the stone be a key to understanding the lost cultures of ancient Italy, or is it a reminder of the limitations of our historical understanding? The stone's very name, the stones speak, invites us to ponder whether it holds a message, one that we have yet to unlock, or perhaps one that was never meant for us to understand. Perhaps the mystery of the Saxa Loquuntur stone is not one that can ever be fully solved. The passage of time, the erosion of knowledge, and the changing tides of history may have obscured its true meaning. Yet even as we stand before this ancient artifact, with its silent, untranslatable symbols, we are reminded of the countless stories that remain hidden in the stone, waiting for someone to listen, to decipher, or to understand. And in that silence, the stone continues to speak, echoing across the centuries, challenging us to look deeper, to ask more questions, and to wonder what other secrets the past might still be hiding. At the foot of the dramatic cliffs of Deir el-Bahari, in Egypt's Valley of the Kings, stands one of the most breathtaking monuments of ancient Egypt, Hatshepsut's temple. Carved into the very rock of the mountain, this temple seems to rise from the earth itself, with long colonnades stretching toward the sky like the fingers of a forgotten god. The site is an architectural marvel, its terraces and stairways mirroring the grandeur of a forgotten civilization. And yet, for all its splendor and fame, there is something undeniably enigmatic about the temple, a series of secrets buried deep within its walls, hidden chambers that may still hold answers to questions that have remained unanswered for centuries. The Temple of Hatshepsut was built to honor the female pharaoh who defied convention to rule ancient Egypt. During her reign in the 15th century BC, Hatshepsut redefined the role of a woman in power, leading Egypt to new heights of prosperity. Her temple, dedicated to the sun god Amun, is an awe-inspiring testament to her power, wealth, and ambition. Yet, beneath the surface of this majestic structure lies a mystery that has baffled archaeologists and historians for generations. Hidden chambers, long thought to be inaccessible or even lost to time. The first hint of these chambers came in the early 20th century, when Egyptologists, led by Sir Alan Gardner, began conducting a detailed exploration of the temple's inner passages. They discovered what appeared to be secret doorways and hidden rooms that were not visible to the casual observer. Some of these chambers were sealed off by massive stone blocks, leading many to wonder whether they were intentionally concealed, perhaps as part of a larger, more elaborate ritual or political agenda. Over the years, further investigations have revealed evidence of chambers that were cut into the rock itself, rooms whose purpose remains unclear. They seem to have been intentionally hidden, with false doors and passageways designed to obscure their true function. The idea that these chambers were deliberately concealed suggests that they may have served a purpose beyond mere storage or as part of the temple's decorative features. But what was that purpose? Were they intended to protect something precious? Perhaps royal treasures, sacred relics, or even the tomb of the queen herself? The notion of hidden chambers is not new in the context of ancient Egyptian architecture. The Egyptians were masters of secrecy, building elaborate tombs and hidden chambers to protect the dead and their treasures from grave robbers. The Valley of the Kings itself is a testament to this secrecy, with its maze-like corridors and sealed tombs, each one designed to keep the royal remains and valuables hidden from prying eyes. But what makes the hidden chambers of Hatshepsut's temple so intriguing is their location. Inside a temple dedicated to the living, rather than a tomb designed for the afterlife. What was so important that it warranted such secrecy? One theory that has persisted over the years is that these hidden chambers were used to house the body of Hatshepsut herself. Though her tomb was believed to be located in the Valley of the Kings, there has been speculation that her final resting place was not as straightforward as once thought. Was it possible that Hatshepsut's body was secreted away into one of these concealed chambers, perhaps to protect it from those who would seek to erase her from history? After her death, the royal family, particularly her stepson, Thutmose III, may have wanted to remove all traces of her reign, attempting to diminish her legacy. It is known that Thutmose III attempted to erase Hatshepsut's memory by ordering the destruction of her statues and inscriptions. Could the hidden chambers of her temple have been a last, desperate attempt to preserve her remains in secret, to ensure her legacy would endure even in death? There is also the possibility that the chambers were part of a larger, more mystical purpose, perhaps related to the ancient Egyptian practice of divine kingship. The Egyptians believed that the pharaoh was not just a ruler, but a god on earth, and that after death, the king or queen would join the gods in a sacred afterlife. If these hidden chambers were part of a complex religious ritual, it might be that they were designed to facilitate Hatshepsut's own divine ascent. Were the chambers part of a secret rite meant to elevate her soul to the heavens, ensuring her place among the gods? The fact that the chambers are concealed, with passageways that twist and turn, suggests that they may have been built with a spiritual or symbolic purpose, perhaps linked to the rituals that took place inside the temple's grand halls. Adding to the mystery is the discovery of unusual artifacts and inscriptions within these chambers. Though many of the inscriptions are damaged or incomplete, some scholars believe they may hint at the purpose of the chambers. One theory is that the markings could represent a form of royal rites, perhaps celebrating Hatshepsut's divine status or invoking blessings for the afterlife. It is known that Hatshepsut herself emphasized her divine connection in her inscriptions, often portraying herself as the chosen of Amun, the sun god. Could the hidden chambers have served as a place to reinforce that divine connection, a space where sacred rituals were conducted in secrecy? Interestingly, some of the chambers appear to have been sealed off deliberately, as if the knowledge contained within them was meant to remain hidden for eternity. This deliberate sealing of the chambers has led to speculation about whether the pharaoh's secrets were so valuable that they needed to be safeguarded, whether those secrets were political, spiritual, or even personal. The desire to protect these chambers from discovery raises a further question. What knowledge did they contain that was so sacred or dangerous that it could not be revealed to the outside world? The chamber's location, deep within the heart of the temple, is also notable. Unlike the tombs in the Valley of the Kings, which are often built into the mountainside, these chambers are embedded within the temple itself, making their discovery and study more challenging. Their concealment suggests a degree of sophistication in their design, a level of strategic planning that speaks to the importance of their contents. And yet, despite the evidence and the tantalizing possibilities, no one has ever fully uncovered the purpose of these hidden chambers. Modern technology, including ground-penetrating radar and X-ray imaging, has failed to provide a conclusive explanation for their use. While some chambers have been accessed, many more remain sealed, their mysteries still locked behind walls of stone. So, what might still be hidden in the chambers of Hatshepsut's temple? The idea that they could be home to secrets that have been deliberately concealed from history raises many questions. Were they meant to protect royal treasures, safeguard divine rituals, or preserve the legacy of a powerful queen? And if Hatshepsut's secrets remain hidden, what other mysteries of ancient Egypt lie waiting to be uncovered? The hidden chambers of Hatshepsut's temple remain an enigma, a puzzle that continues to challenge our understanding of the ancient world. The more we learn, the more we realize that there may be much more to discover. Perhaps the greatest mystery is not what was placed inside the chambers, but why it has remained hidden for so long. What does this secrecy tell us about the past, and what might it still reveal about the ancient Egyptians' views on power, death, and the divine? As we stand before the towering columns of Hatshepsut's temple, we are reminded that not all the answers are waiting for us on the surface. Some secrets lie buried deep within, waiting for the right moment, or the right mind, to unlock them. And as long as the chambers remain sealed, the mystery of Hatshepsut's temple will continue to haunt us, calling us to ask, what might still be hidden within those ancient walls? In the depths of the Aegean Sea, in 1900, a group of sponge divers stumbled upon a discovery that would forever alter our understanding of ancient technology. Hidden among the wreckage of a sunken ship, the divers found fragments of what appeared to be a complex, intricately designed mechanism. Over time, these pieces would come to be identified as the Antikythera mechanism, an ancient analog computer, more advanced than any other device thought to have existed in the ancient world. Yet, despite its remarkable sophistication, this mysterious artifact is far from complete. Many of the pieces necessary to fully understand the mechanism's purpose and origins are still missing. The Antikythera mechanism itself is a marvel of ancient engineering, an intricately designed device made of bronze, with gears and dials that seem to suggest it could predict astronomical positions and eclipses. When it was first studied, researchers were astounded by the level of technological sophistication it displayed. It was unlike anything found in the known ancient world. In fact, its complexity and functionality were so far ahead of its time that many scholars initially believed it was an outlier, an isolated anomaly created by a brilliant mind, perhaps centuries ahead of the rest of civilization. The device itself is a fragmented collection of parts, with many of the gears and dials damaged or lost to time. However, modern imaging technology, including X-ray scanning and 3D modeling, has allowed scientists to reconstruct much of the mechanism's inner workings. The mechanism consists of a series of bronze gears, wheels, and inscriptions, all housed in a small wooden box that likely sat on a ship in ancient Greece. The surviving fragments suggest that it was used to predict the movement of the sun, moon, and possibly the planets, allowing its user to track celestial events and cycles with precision. What's most astonishing about the device is its ability to perform calculations related to astronomy, calculations that we now know were not replicated until the development of mechanical clocks in the Middle Ages, over 1,000 years later. But even as researchers have made significant strides in understanding the Antikythera mechanism's function, many key pieces are still missing, both literally and figuratively. Despite decades of study, critical parts of the mechanism have never been recovered, and the full scope of its purpose remains shrouded in mystery. The original shipwreck, believed to have occurred sometime around 60 BCE, yielded a trove of treasures, but many of the more vital pieces of the mechanism were either lost to the sea or destroyed over time. The surviving fragments only provide a glimpse of the device's true complexity, leaving us to wonder what other secrets it might hold if only the missing pieces could be found. Some have speculated that the missing pieces could provide crucial insights into the precise mechanics of the device, how the gears work together to perform their calculations, or whether there were additional dials and wheels that would have allowed it to track more than just the basic cycles of the moon and sun. One of the most tantalizing possibilities is that the mechanism was far more advanced than we can currently comprehend. Could it have been capable of predicting the positions of the stars, the phases of the planets, or even the movements of comets? These were questions the ancient Greeks were undoubtedly interested in, as they looked to the heavens for answers about time, fate, and the divine. Another mystery surrounding the Antikythera mechanism is its very existence. How was such an advanced device possible in an era that was still centuries away from developing complex clockwork machinery? The Greeks had a deep understanding of astronomy and mathematics, but no other devices from their time display the same level of technological sophistication as the Antikythera mechanism. How could a society that had not yet reached the mechanical achievements of the Middle Ages create something so intricate and precise? Could there have been knowledge lost to time, passed down from an even older civilization, or perhaps from a secret tradition of knowledge kept hidden away from the public? Some fringe theories even suggest the possibility of extraterrestrial influence or advanced technology that was far ahead of its time, though these ideas are far from mainstream. Then, there is the question of why the mechanism was built in the first place. The ancient Greeks were known for their interest in the heavens, and it is likely that the device was designed for astronomical purposes, perhaps for use in predicting eclipses, calculating the length of the year, or even for guiding the navigation of ships. But was it a tool for the elite? A device of mystery and power used only by a select few? Or was it intended for public use, perhaps in temples or other public spaces where the movements of the heavens could be tracked and understood by all? If its purpose was astronomical, was there also a spiritual or religious component, as many Greek astronomers and philosophers tied their studies of the stars to their beliefs about the gods and the cosmos? The fact that only fragments of the device have been recovered leaves open a range of possibilities. Could the missing pieces be out there, waiting to be discovered? The shipwreck itself lies about 60 meters underwater, and while there have been multiple expeditions to the site, no further pieces of the Antikythera mechanism have been found since the initial discovery. Could there be additional pieces hidden deeper in the wreckage, or perhaps scattered across the seafloor, slowly eroding into the ocean's depths? If so, what new discoveries could they unlock? Each new piece could bring us closer to understanding the full scale of the mechanism's purpose and function. Despite the mysteries that still surround it, the Antikythera mechanism remains one of the most remarkable and puzzling artifacts of ancient history. It challenges our assumptions about the technological capabilities of the ancient Greeks and raises important questions about lost knowledge, forgotten inventions, and the true nature of human innovation. While modern technology has allowed us to reconstruct much of the device, the missing pieces, both literal and conceptual, continue to elude us, keeping the true story of the Antikythera mechanism just beyond our grasp. As we reflect on the mysteries of the Antikythera mechanism, we are left to wonder, what might the missing pieces reveal? Were there additional functions, calculations, or capabilities that we have yet to discover? And how much more advanced was ancient technology than we have been led to believe? Until the missing pieces are found, if they ever are, we can only continue to marvel at the fragments that remain, piecing together a story that seems to offer more questions than answers. The mechanism speaks to us from the past, but the full meaning of its message remains, for now, out of reach. In the dense, untamed jungles of the Amazon, where the thick canopy of trees blocks the sun and the air hums with the sound of unseen creatures, a mystery remains unresolved, a haunting story that has gripped the imaginations of explorers, historians, and adventurers alike. The disappearance of British explorer Percy Harrison Fawcett is one of the most intriguing and puzzling tales of the 20th century. Fawcett, a man of extraordinary ambition and determination, vanished without a trace in 1925, leaving behind only questions and a handful of cryptic clues. Despite extensive searches and countless theories, the fate of Percy Fawcett remains one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries. Fawcett's story begins decades before his final ill-fated expedition to the Amazon. Born in 1867, he was a seasoned explorer and soldier, known for his work mapping uncharted territories for the Royal Geographical Society. His expeditions through South America and his knowledge of indigenous cultures made him a respected figure in the world of exploration. However, it was his obsession with the ancient civilizations of the Amazon that would eventually lead him into the heart of the jungle and into a mystery that would never be solved. Fawcett had long been fascinated by the possibility that an advanced, forgotten civilization once thrived deep within the Amazon. He believed that the region, long thought to be inhospitable and sparsely populated, was home to ancient cities of great cultural and architectural significance. In his writings and speeches, Fawcett spoke passionately about the lost city he believed was hidden somewhere in the dense forests of Brazil. He referred to it as Z, a place of unimaginable wealth and knowledge. The idea of a lost city in the jungle captivated the imagination of the public, and Fawcett's name became synonymous with the search for hidden treasures and lost civilizations. In 1920, Fawcett returned to Brazil to continue his work, encouraged by the support of the Royal Geographical Society. Armed with maps, equipment, and a deep belief in the existence of Z, he ventured into the heart of the Amazon on what would be his final expedition. The goal was clear: to locate the lost city of Z and uncover its secrets. Fawcett's last known communication came in 1925 in the form of a letter to his wife, informing her that he and his son Jack would be entering the uncharted territories of the Mato Grosso region. He promised to send regular updates, but those updates never came. What happened next remains shrouded in mystery. Percy Fawcett, along with his son Jack and their companion, Raleigh Rimmel, disappeared into the vast expanse of the jungle. Despite a search by the Brazilian government and several other expeditions, no trace of the trio was ever found. It was as if they had vanished into thin air. No bodies, no remains, not even a sign of struggle, just an eerie silence, one that only deepened the mystery surrounding their disappearance. For years, theories about Fawcett's fate have ranged from the plausible to the fantastical. One of the most widely accepted explanations is that the explorer and his companions met with an unfortunate end at the hands of hostile indigenous tribes. Fawcett had encountered several indigenous groups during his travels, and tensions were known to exist between some tribes and outsiders. It's possible that Fawcett's belief in the existence of Z and his desire to find it led him into territories controlled by hostile tribes who may have viewed him as a threat. Some have suggested that the explorer was killed, either by an act of violence or by disease, while others speculate that the jungle itself may have claimed his life, as many before him had been lost in its unforgiving terrain. Yet despite these plausible explanations, many still find themselves questioning the conventional narrative. The fact that no trace of Fawcett or his companions was ever found has led to some more speculative theories. One popular suggestion is that Fawcett's obsession with the lost city of Z was more than just a search for treasure. It was a pursuit of something much larger, a quest for knowledge, or an ancient power that was meant to remain hidden? Could it be that Fawcett, in his relentless search, uncovered something that others sought to keep secret? Some believe that the explorer might have stumbled upon an ancient and powerful force, one that caused his disappearance. Was there something in the jungle that he discovered and was never meant to find? Others have proposed that Fawcett's disappearance was part of a larger conspiracy, an effort by either the Brazilian government or other factions to cover up his discovery of Z or the ancient city's secrets. Was Fawcett silenced to prevent him from revealing something too dangerous? Could the city of Z have been a place of immense power, one that powerful interests sought to keep hidden, fearing what might happen if it were rediscovered? Then, there are the more fantastical theories, which continue to intrigue those who believe in the supernatural. Some speculate that Fawcett's disappearance was not a physical one, but a spiritual or otherworldly event. Could he have somehow entered another realm or dimension, as some have suggested? A more modern interpretation leans on the possibility of a time slip or a portal, where Fawcett and his companions may have crossed into another time or place, never to return. While these theories are certainly speculative, they reflect the enduring allure of Fawcett's story, one that speaks to our fascination with the unknown and our desire to explain the inexplicable. Despite the numerous searches and investigations conducted over the years, no definitive answers have emerged. Fawcett's family, particularly his wife and son, never gave up hope, and the search for the missing explorer continued for years. But as time passed, the mystery only grew more profound. What happened to Percy Fawcett and his companions? Did they perish in the jungle, or did they uncover something so monumental that it cost them their lives? And what of the lost city of Z? Was it a myth, a figment of Fawcett's imagination, or a real ancient civilization buried deep within the Amazon? The story of Percy Fawcett's disappearance remains an open wound in the annals of exploration. It is a story that continues to inspire those who dream of uncovering the hidden secrets of the world, even as it reminds us of the dangers and uncertainties that come with venturing into the unknown. Fawcett's disappearance is a haunting mystery that speaks to the fragility of human ambition, the allure of the uncharted, and the dangers of chasing dreams that may never be fully realized. As we reflect on his legacy and the unanswered questions surrounding his fate, we are left with a haunting thought. What was Percy Fawcett truly searching for in the Amazon? And what, if anything, did he find before he vanished forever? The jungle remains silent, the city of Z still elusive, and Percy Fawcett's fate as enigmatic as ever. Nestled deep within the heart of Vatican City, hidden behind layers of history, power, and secrecy, lies one of the most mysterious and elusive collections of documents ever amassed, the Vatican Apostolic Archive. This vast repository of over 85 kilometers of shelving is home to centuries of correspondence, official records, and papal decrees that span the entire history of the Catholic Church. From political maneuverings to spiritual revelations, the archives contain the secrets of the Vatican itself. But there is a darker, more troubling aspect to this collection. A sealed section of the archives, inaccessible to even the most dedicated scholars. The very existence of the sealed archives has fueled speculation for centuries. What secrets do they contain? What could possibly be so sensitive, so dangerous, that it must remain hidden away from public view? What knowledge, perhaps dangerous or subversive, is concealed within those walls, awaiting the right moment or the right person to unlock its doors? The Vatican Apostolic Archive, once known as the Vatican Secret Archives, has long been a source of fascination for historians, theologians, and conspiracy theorists alike. The name itself, secret, carries an aura of mystique, implying hidden truths, revelations too sensitive to be revealed. It is said that the archives contain the official records of the Catholic Church, a staggering collection of papal correspondence, state documents, and materials related to the papacy's influence in political matters over the centuries. From the pontiffs of the medieval era to the modern popes, the archives preserve a wealth of material, some of which has been made available to researchers over the years. But despite the vast treasure trove of knowledge contained within these walls, certain sections of the archives remain completely sealed, their contents known only to a select few. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Vatican Apostolic Archive is the fact that access to its documents is tightly controlled. While scholars with permission can view some of the materials, the true scope of what lies within the archives remains a mystery to the broader public. The archives are not simply a collection of religious documents, but are intertwined with centuries of global politics, power struggles, and even covert operations that shaped the history of nations and empires. But it is the sealed section of the archives, the part that remains locked away from even the most authorized historians, that has captured the imagination of so many. This section has been rumored to contain records related to some of the most controversial events in history: the Crusades, the Inquisition, the Vatican's interactions with monarchies, and the rise and fall of empires. Some even suggest that the archives might contain evidence of hidden knowledge, documents that could rewrite history as we know it. What could the Vatican be hiding? What truths lie buried behind those sealed doors? One popular theory is that the archives hold secrets related to the Vatican's role in political affairs. Throughout history, the Catholic Church has wielded immense political power, often influencing the destinies of nations. Was the Vatican involved in covert dealings that affected the outcomes of wars, the establishment of alliances, or the fate of entire populations? Some historians point to the Church's involvement during World War II, suggesting that the Vatican archives may contain documents revealing the Church's response to the rise of fascism and its controversial relationship with the Nazi regime. The exact role of the Vatican in these historical events has long been a subject of debate, with some claiming that the Church may have provided aid or shelter to war criminals after the conflict ended. Could the sealed archives contain evidence of this complicity, or are these accusations merely the products of speculation? Another theory centers on the question of religious knowledge and the secrets of the Church itself. The Vatican is the custodian of sacred texts, but could there be documents that go beyond what is publicly known, texts that have been kept hidden for centuries because they challenge established religious doctrine? The idea of hidden gospels or forgotten scriptures is not new. Some claim that the Vatican may have sealed away texts that contradict the traditional teachings of the Church, texts that could fundamentally change our understanding of Christianity and its origins. Could the sealed archives contain writings that reveal more about the historical Jesus or early Christian beliefs that were deemed too controversial for the mainstream faith? Perhaps the most intriguing theory about the sealed archives, however, is one that leans toward the esoteric and the mystical. There have long been rumors of ancient secrets, hidden knowledge passed down through the ages that the Vatican has protected for centuries. Some suggest that the sealed section contains documents that relate to the so-called lost knowledge of the ancients. Wisdom so profound and so powerful that it could shift the balance of power in the modern world. This could include anything from ancient alchemical texts to the supposed writings of long-lost civilizations, or even clues about the true nature of certain religious relics that have been guarded by the Church for centuries. Could these secrets be tied to hidden artifacts or sacred objects that remain concealed from the public? Could the archives hold the key to understanding the mysteries that have long surrounded relics such as the Holy Grail, the Shroud of Turin, or other ancient Christian relics? As much as the Vatican Apostolic Archive is seen as an intellectual treasure trove, it is also an institution shrouded in secrecy. Even within the archive itself, access is often granted only to researchers with specific credentials, and many of the documents are held under lock and key, sealed off from public view for reasons that remain unclear. What is it that the Vatican is so eager to keep hidden? Why are certain documents, some of which may date back over 1,000 years, kept sealed and off-limits to the public? Some believe the Church's reluctance to open the archives to the wider world is driven by fear of what might be discovered and how it might affect the Church's reputation and authority. The Vatican has long been protective of its image, and the potential for scandal has always been a concern. If the archives contain material that could damage the Church's standing or reputation, it may be that these documents will remain hidden indefinitely. Others suggest that the Vatican simply wants to preserve the integrity of the Church's teachings and beliefs. The Catholic Church has long been the guardian of tradition, and opening the sealed archives might expose contradictions or complexities that could undermine centuries of theological development. Could these documents challenge the foundations of Christianity itself, forcing the Church to reconsider its position on some of the most sacred aspects of the faith? Despite the rumors, the Vatican has made efforts to open up the archives in recent years. In 2020, Pope Francis authorized the opening of documents related to the papacy of Pius XII, specifically concerning his role during World War II and the Holocaust. This was seen as a significant step toward transparency, but it remains to be seen whether the Vatican will ever fully open the door to the sealed section of its archives. What could be hidden there? Could the Vatican be sitting on knowledge that has the potential to reshape our understanding of the Church and the world? As with all mysteries, the sealed archives continue to provoke more questions than answers. The Vatican Apostolic Archive, with its centuries-old documents, holds the keys to an untold history, one that might reveal secrets so profound that they could change the course of history itself. Until the secrets of the sealed archives are revealed, we are left with our imaginations, wondering what truths remain locked away in the vaults of one of the most powerful institutions in the world. What could be so dangerous, so significant, that it must be concealed from view? What knowledge, lost to time and guarded by secrecy, waits to be uncovered? Until then, the Vatican's sealed archives remain one of the most tantalizing and haunting mysteries of history, drawing us deeper into the shadows of the past. In the world of historical enigmas, few objects are as perplexing as the Voynich Manuscript. This mysterious book, housed at Yale University's Bermeja Rare Book and Manuscript Library, has confounded scholars, cryptographers, and historians for over 600 years. Its origins are unknown, its language undeciphered, and its purpose still a subject of intense debate. The manuscript is an ancient, handwritten book filled with bizarre, untranslatable text and strange illustrations that seem to depict otherworldly plants, astronomical diagrams, and what could be descriptions of alchemical processes. No matter how much time has passed or how many scholars have tried to unlock its secrets, the Voynich manuscript continues to resist understanding. The manuscript itself is no ordinary book. Measuring about 23.5 by 16.2 centimeters, it contains over 200 vellum pages, each filled with delicate, looping script and enigmatic images. What stands out most about the Voynich manuscript is the text. It's written in an alphabet and language that have never been identified, despite numerous attempts by linguists and cryptographers to crack its code. The manuscript's script, known as Voynich-Ch'ich, is unlike anything found in any known language, living or dead. Its structure seems consistent, almost too perfect, suggesting that it is not a random jumble of letters, but rather a deliberate code or constructed language. The images, though equally puzzling, offer some clues to the manuscript's intended meaning. Some pages depict fantastical plants, some of which appear to exist nowhere in the natural world. Other illustrations show women bathing or interacting with strange symbols, while still others seem to show astronomical charts or astrological diagrams, pointing to an attempt to describe the natural world through both symbolic and scientific means. But again, the meaning of these images remains unclear. Are they symbols of some ancient religion or alchemical process? Or perhaps they represent an entirely different knowledge system that is long lost to time. The manuscript's first recorded owner was the mysterious figure known as Wilfrid Voynich, a Polish-American bookseller and bibliophile who purchased it in 1912 from a Jesuit college in Rome. However, the manuscript's origins stretch far beyond Voynich's acquisition. Carbon dating of the vellum pages places its creation around 1404 to 1438, long before Voynich's time. This means that the manuscript predates its most famous owner by nearly 500 years, and yet its history before this point remains a complete mystery. Some believe the manuscript was written by an unknown author in the 15th century, a time when Europe was embroiled in the mysteries of alchemy, mysticism, and early scientific discovery. Perhaps it was created as a treatise on some esoteric subject, an ancient compendium of alchemical knowledge, herbal remedies, or astronomical charts. Others have speculated that the manuscript is a work of natural philosophy, written by a scholar seeking to catalog the world's mysteries through a unique, coded language. But why a code? And why has it remained unbroken for so long? Over the years, many theories have been proposed regarding the meaning of the manuscript's text. Some suggest that the language used is a cipher, an encoded system that, once cracked, will reveal a hidden message. Various cryptographers, including those who worked for the U.S. military during World War II, have attempted to decode the text using the most advanced cryptographic methods, but no one has succeeded. Some believe that the manuscript may be written in a form of shorthand or a constructed language, an early experiment in creating a private code, while others think it may be a form of medieval linguistic artistry, invented for some unknown purpose. A few even suggest that the script could be a hoax, an elaborate ruse designed to mislead and confuse, though such an argument doesn't seem to fit the precision and consistency of the manuscript's language. Alongside the theory of coded language, some fringe thinkers argue that the Voynich manuscript may represent a lost civilization or forgotten knowledge. In this interpretation, the language of the manuscript is not a cipher in the traditional sense, but instead an entirely separate linguistic system created by an unknown group of people. It could be the last remaining record of a forgotten culture, perhaps one with a deep understanding of nature, science, and the universe, whose knowledge was intentionally hidden from the rest of the world. Could the manuscript be a kind of survival from an ancient civilization, possibly even predating the medieval era? This would explain both the manuscript's cryptic text and its esoteric images. Other theories venture into more speculative territory, suggesting that the manuscript could be something far beyond a simple scholarly or alchemical work. Some have proposed that the Voynich manuscript is a manual for an occult practice, or a guide to the secrets of the cosmos that were only meant to be understood by a select few. The presence of strange botanical illustrations and astronomical charts have led some to suggest that it could be an ancient book of magic, containing rituals and diagrams meant to unlock the secrets of the universe, whether physical or metaphysical. These ideas echo the long-held belief that knowledge was often veiled in mysticism, accessible only to those with the proper understanding or training. One particularly fascinating theory is that the manuscript may contain the lost knowledge of the ancient civilizations of the Americas. Some believe that the Voynich manuscript could represent a record of pre-Columbian knowledge from the indigenous cultures of South America, or the civilizations that existed in the Americas before the arrival of European colonizers. The vibrant, fantastical plants depicted in the manuscript, which resemble nothing from Europe or Asia, have led some to argue that these illustrations could be depictions of New World flora, possibly from a time when there was contact between the Old World and the New. Despite these fascinating theories, the manuscript has resisted all attempts at meaningful translation. In the absence of a breakthrough, the Voynich Manuscript continues to inspire a sense of awe, wonder, and curiosity. Perhaps it is not the meaning of the manuscript that holds the key to its mystery, but the very fact that it has endured, unbroken and unsolved, for so many centuries. Its persistence in the face of countless attempts at deciphering, its cryptic nature, and its haunting illustrations have made it a symbol of the unknown, an artifact that remains as elusive and enigmatic as ever. As we look at the manuscript's pages, filled with strange symbols and mysterious diagrams, we can't help but wonder, what are we missing? What knowledge could be contained in these pages that has eluded humanity for so long? Could the answer lie in the manuscript's cryptic text, waiting for the right person with the right tools to decode it? Or is it possible that the manuscript was designed to resist understanding, a riddle wrapped in an enigma meant to challenge our assumptions about language, knowledge, and history itself? The mystery of the Voynich Manuscript remains unsolved, a timeless puzzle that continues to haunt those who attempt to uncover its secrets, until the language is decoded or the manuscript's origins are revealed. It stands as one of history's most profound and perplexing mysteries. And so, as we look at its pages, each one brimming with strange symbols, unknown plants, and cosmic charts, we can only wonder, what might still be hidden, waiting for the day when the riddle is finally solved?